Welcome on this Saturday morning, January 28th, 2023, to the 879th edition of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio Podcastio Programmio of The Stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling and wonderful and adorable wife, Joyce, who created these two items for me last week. If you were watching the program, or I hope you were watching the program, I probably mentioned that this past Monday was my 59th birthday, and she was kind enough.
Ha 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 ha!
We'll explain that. Truly was. She's not laughing at that is a lie. I turned 59 years old this past Monday, January 23rd. So she made me this wonderful sign. I don't want to move the computer, but you can see it's David, have a spud-tacular birthday, which is a reference to potatoes. If you watch the program, you'll understand. With pretty little, she actually can quite an artist. She can do as a very pretty little cake. She drew there. Notice 59 plus 120, which is like Judaism plus. They always say you should live until 120. She wants me to be 59 plus 120, which is going to make me just the joy of the nursing home. I'll be 177. It's like, kill me. No, you have to live to 179. It's like, no, just kill me, please. And it won't. But anyway, 59 plus 120 plus a pretty gift there. Love from Joyce, and a beautiful potato with a hat on it.
I didn't draw it.
You didn't draw the where did you draw the where the potato come? Of course you drew the potato.
It was a template, and then I colored it and accentuated.
Well, still,
I
yeah.
drew the cake and the present and the music notes.
And the party hat?
And the hat, yes.
Yeah.
And then I also decided to give it some 3D depth, so I shaded the potato and colored in the eyes and then drew it again.
Wait, there's eyes? Oh, eyes, those eyes.
Those little dimples are eyes, I believe.
Look at those. Look, they got liver spots, ladies and gentlemen. Those are actual eyes on the potato.
It's an abstract potato. It's not one of ours. One of yours.
Well, no.
It's abstract.
I'll bring one out later probably and show people what the potatoes I actually do.
Bring up the powdered cake.
No, I did not. Oh, when you come back, we can share that. And we can also share today's a great day because it's my birthday, which it isn't. It was Monday.
It was your birthday.
Right. Monday. And it was a pretty darn good birthday, I must say.
We had delicious food. And then we had delicious cake the next day.
Yeah. So what did we do? For
delicious pecan thing you had.
For that day, I was like, I need to go ethnic because usually we don't for various reasons.
You wanted flav.
I wanted, so there's an Uzbek restaurant.
Maybe we'll pass it today.
If we go that far.
Where is it?
I thought it was in Pikesville. Isn't that
no.
No, it's like, there's an Uzbek. Like, we live in Maryland. There's no Uzbekis here, but there's an Uzbekistan restaurant.
I didn't know that. They must be.
Like, the two people own the restaurant.
I don't know. I don't have my phone, but I could look up the...
And they probably had like 3 children who moved very far away. Yeah. So there's 2 Uzbeks left. I just like saying the word Uzbek, but don't you?
You just like saying plav.
I like saying plav, Fort Lupton, and Uzbek. Uzbek. Mm-hmm. Isn't that great? Say it with me, folks. Uzbek. Anyway, so I was thinking I really want to try something new and different because generally I'm eating the same things and going to the same places. So I was like, it's my birthday. I want to have... But the weather was meh. And didn't want to take the time and so forth. And it's just 10 miles away for someone who doesn't like to drive is like, I don't want to do that on my birthday.
No, but also it was cold and it was like not rainy, but it was pretty damp.
It was it was ughy on my day. Yeah. So I was like, all right, then let's make it either Chinese or I mean, just, I can never make up my mind.
You thought Greek, you thought sushi, you thought Thai.
Right. Because traditionally on my birthday, I've been going for like a sushi deluxe platter. That's been my thing for the past few birthdays and have not been disappointed by it. But I'm like, you know what? Just because I've done something 3 times in a row really doesn't have to make it a life pattern. You know?
I think you wanted something different too, and you had sushi earlier that week or the week before. You said.
Or I make fish. I think I cooked a tuna.
So you didn't want. You weren't like I just you felt it was.
Plus, I think a couple of times last week I performed cunnilingus on somebody. So the idea of sushi was not first and foremost in my mind. I wasn't missing the fish part. I was just missing the wasabi part. But I was like, all right, so let's rule that out. Try something different. Chinese, which is really not so different, except I don't really have it very often here, or South Asian, which I have very, very infrequently. I used to have it much more in New York. I was like, you know what? Let's just go in and we grabbed some very, very nice Indian food.
Yes.
I still call it's Indian food. We can call it South Asian, but it's Indian food.
They probably were Gujarati, I think.
What does that mean?
They're from that part of India.
Gujarati?
Yeah.
There's a hi-ya.
No, that's Karate.
Oh, that's karate.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I have a feeling.
Ha 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 ha
From the
ha.
regions the guy spoke about and stuff.
Yeah.
And
No,
he's like,
yeah.
so the kid's so funny. He said to me, "Oh, by the way, ma'am, we're gonna have breakfast." And I said, "So what kind of breakfast will you serve? You know?" He's like, "Oh, we're doing a breakfast buffet." Blah blah blah. I'm like, "Breakfast?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Okay, what's the menu?" He's like, "Eggs and toast and jam." I was like, "That's it's so English."
Well, it would be. They were
Eggs
colonial.
and toast and jam. I mean.
Well, there's this whole thing now that you can't use the word pre-colonial anymore. They're trying to get away from that.
I mean,
Yeah.
why would you go like to me like I would going there like wouldn't you want something different? Like you could get that at any.
Well, eggs, toast, and jam you can basically get at Safeway. You buy a loaf of bread, you buy an egg.
No, or even like any deli would like diner. Or
Like a
something.
bagel.
Yeah.
I'd rather have that than toast. You know, get a bagel with jam or something
Oh
else.
wait, you know what we could do?
What could we do?
If you want, well, I don't know what time you get done with your show. I don't want to.
We've been doing the show for 20 years. You know exactly when I get there.
One.
Yeah.
We have 2 guests, might be 2. But I thought we could get a bagel, but I don't want it because I have my PB&J. But you could get your bacon bagel because it's still your birthday.
I did get that on my birthday. On my birthday for lunch, I was like, because I went to do some shopping. It was either that or the day after. And I was like, one of the days this past week, I ran and grabbed like the best thing I brought, a BLT on a bagel.
Which bacon.
Yeah. You want to talk about a Jew with issues. It's like, get a bagel, toast it, and put bacon on it. God's going to look at me when I get up to...
They also put a delicious... The sauce you said is like delicious.
No, they do it. And they give you a nice... they don't just put one little thin, skimpy, rubbery layer of bacon on there. They give you
it's a sandwich.
A BLT with a B on it. Yeah. So it's really good. And so I'm like, you know what? Let me get that for lunch, and then I'll celebrate and I'll have Indian food for dinner, and then I had pho later in the week.
Well, I just thought because you were, you went to the dentist and stuff, and you were. Hold on. Wait. Oh no.
That one's. Yeah, which they did. That was fun.
And so the soup I thought would help you,
Yeah, I did not go to the dentist on my birthday. I went to the dentist later in the week. Was not going to spend my birthday in a dental chair when I knew that it wasn't just going to be, your teeth look fantastic. We'll see you in 6 months, or we'll see you in 7 years because your teeth are so perfect right now that nothing could happen to them for more than half a decade. No, because of our life circumstances and because of COVID. Yes, I am going to complain. I'm talking about a dentist. Of course I'm going to complain.
Yeah, but you got soup afterward.
Yeah, it was good. It was very salty. It was I'll take Indian or Chinese over Vietnamese pretty much every time. But for a change, it was good. Yeah. What did you think? What did you prefer, the Indian or the pho?
I liked the cream spinach. The shak paneer, palak paneer was very good. But I ate too much of the tomato. I can't have tomato.
Yeah.
To me, the pho soup, my broth wasn't salty, but I loved the fresh,
you would the mung beans and the...
Yeah, they had the leaves and the mung bean. It was just very... even the vegetables were steamed, but they were perfect. Everything was just perfect for that, in that combo.
I liked it. It was good. It was a great change. And now I don't have to have pho for a month or two. I'm all right with it, as opposed to Indian I can have today. I can have up tomorrow.
See, the problem is if we go to later if we go shopping, the really fancy Indian place, I think they only have
buffet.
Yeah, even for dinner.
No, dinner they have regular food. Regular food. They have a lunch buffet.
Is your phone up there?
My phone is up there. Hold on one moment, folks.
No, I'll get it.
Thank you. But I want to tell you about the dentist. I do want to tell you about going to the dentist. Shame on me for the first time in 4 years. Okay, sorry. Life got in the way. Joyce and I were living in Colorado. We moved. We were living with, at that point, my folks in New York on Long Island. I went to the dentist once while there, pre-pandemic, just to have my teeth checked. It was fine. It was great. And then just all the time, we never wanted to open our mouths around anybody or be near anyone, even if they were wearing masks, and just got lazy and just got like, I don't want to deal, and and we did have health insurance, but just didn't want to freaking deal. And then, of course, we moved to Maryland about half a year ago. Amazingly enough, it's going to be half a year.
Wow. So the restaurant says, make an order instantly now.
Okay, let's do it.
Lord.
It's 9 o'clock in the morning. No, but hon, do you know that today?
They have lobster masala.
Whoa,
Think
all
of
right.
George.
Did you know that today
Yes.
is the 6-month anniversary of the day we bought the house?
Oh, happy birthday to you.
We moved in about a week and a half later. But anyway, this is so arcane and to me and Joyce, it has nothing to do with you guys watching
Order
at all.
now.
Order now. So, finally, so we're here about 6 months, literally 6 months. We bought this house ago. Wonderful grammar there. And we're thinking about, and we have all sorts of trouble getting health insurance and just dealing, and do we have dental and don't we? And then still waiting because we have so much work to do getting our courses ready. Joyce is teaching, I'm teaching, we're settling in, we're trying to find this. And again, laziness and fear. Because now I know I've let my choppers go. I mean, I brush, but I don't brush 2 or 3 times a day. And I floss, but I don't do the water pick thing. So I know that, and of course, that's the wonderful thing about dentistry. It's like you don't want to go because you know there's going to be stuff. But the longer you leave it, the worse the stuff is going to be. It's that vicious cycle of life and psychology. But finally, I'm basically, God tapped me on the shoulders. I'm going to give you a little tooth sensitivity. And this will hurry up your finding of a dentist. So at one point, and the irony of it was I'd been flossing, and I felt like a little piece of something came. You know when you have an old filling?
Oh, yeah.
And it's not a piece of food, right?
It
and
has a different texture. It's like a metal.
It's that tiny little speck of gravel. It's like, why do I have gravel in my... When did I eat gravel?
When did I eat gravel?
Joyce is not the best cook, but she's never made me...
Tonight I was going to do the gravel souffle.
Omelette a la gravel. No, she didn't.
Too late for me now.
So I'm like, and then after that happened, when I would breathe in and it'd be a little colder, I have a colder drink, I'm like, ooh, and it wasn't terribly painful.
Sensitivity's the ticker.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, all right, better. It's time to get on that dentist thing. So we go shopping around, right? We start looking around for a local dentist who's on our plan. We have a dental plan, which is a wonderful thing. And you start thinking like, okay, let's read all the reviews. Who's Mengele and who's decent and who takes this and who has been in, you want someone who's been around for a long time so they know what's in the kind of thing that they're not shocked when they look in your mouth and go, wow, is that a bicuspid? Let me check the manual. And at the same time, you don't want...
Natalie used to do, they had a doctor who was like that.
Yeah.
And Natalie and I used to call him the Google doctor. You don't want the Google dentist.
No!
Like, pardon me 1 second.
Happy, hard...
What they do?
Helium, head cold.
They take a picture and they're like, let me just think, give me 1 second? Shh. 1 minute, I just have to post this on my chat.
Well, also you don't want someone who's so new and fresh out of dental school that you show them, and with my mouth, I had orthodontia for years. I have, what do they call it, a bridge with,
you have a dental...
They're not implants, but they're...
You got stuff.
I got stuff. I'm born with cleft palate and hair lip. I don't want to be somebody's first gig just stepping out of dental school and hanging their shiny, newly painted sign on the thing, Painless Parker Dentist. So I kind of want something in the middle there. It's important to me. And finding someone who, the atmosphere is pleasant and they're quote-unquote painless. So I narrow it down to a couple. I call the first one. And it's amazing. It really reminds you about customer service. You don't think about it from the other way of all these underpaid people at supermarkets and gas stations and convenience stores, and they give you like the stink eye, or they're just, they want to be anywhere else because they're getting paid, $14 an hour, and they want a bag, and they're just like saying, here, and they're doing their job, but it's the last place in the world they want to be. And they don't honestly give 2/10 of a shit about you. They're just there. And it's not easy to fill their job because nobody wants to work for $14 an hour, right? And no benefits. So I get someone at one local dentist, and she wasn't nasty or anything, but she was not pleasant. There was something a little bit cold and dislikable in the minute and a half that we were on the phone, right? And I was actually relieved when she said, well, what's your plan? I told her, well, we get this dental. Oh, we don't take that. And I was actually very happy when she said that. Wow. I'm like, oh, okay, bye. Go away. And we heard good. This person had been recommended to us, the dentist there. And so the people are very nice, and the dentist is really nice. And probably I went to this person's father, and the daughter's being trained, and she's taking over the practice. And I would have happily gone there and had this receptionist being like really sweet and well, if they didn't take our plan, no matter how sweet they were, I'd say, oh, I wish you'd take our plan. But okay, hang up, get to another lady who's really, really nice and local, and I'm like, I'm a-going. So I go, and of course, my luck, I get there. And it's quite nearby. It's an easy drive, which is great. But I come in, I'm like, first of all, there's a sign that says there's piano lessons. I mean, if you want to torture a person, there's two things you can do in a building, right? You can either, give them pain by drilling into their faces, or you can make them listen to a 12-year-old trying to play Für Elise, right? So, what is piano and guitar on one level, and then a bit, because it's a house, it's not even
when you go in,
a modern office thing.
When you go in, how do you explain the layout?
It's a house.
So you go in and it's like
somebody's living room. It looks like you're walking into a living room with a fireplace that isn't on.
Is there somebody upstairs living there?
Oh, I don't think. No, I think what they have is probably the dental stuff here, and then another side of the house and down is like later on piano lessons and things.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, it's sort of a double. But I cannot imagine sitting in a dental chair. Like, okay, because this we got this kind. You'll feel a little pressure. Da 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 no da da da.
Might distract you.
But it is rather nice that it's in a house situation because they have a front lawn, and when you go, and it's brilliantly done.
Where do you park?
Oh, they have
a parking lot?
No, it's the back of a house. They have a wide sort of lot, I guess you could call it, in the backyard where people who used to live there 100 years ago parked. Well, maybe 70 years ago parked. So you go in, and very nice lady, and you can tell there's some updating that needs to be done. You start to get this kind of, well, I'm glad I'm here and it's very homey, but she hands me like, paperwork to fill out. And this is literally like a hand form that you can tell has been Xeroxed in the same exact way since 1972. Literally, it's like bad Xerox copying has been photoed over and over, little tiny areas where your writing's so small that you can't read it and they can't read it, so I have to ask you what you wrote. I'm trying to fill this thing out, and I'm having a nice conversation with the lady up front because I'm nervous as hell, because doctors, I have white coat syndrome and all of that. And
you have white underpants syndrome.
But you'll be very happy. They're very, shall we say, careful about masks. All the patients in the waiting room are masked, of course, and masked until you're literally getting worked on.
What about the piano playing students?
No one was piano playing at 8:30 in the morning on a Wednesday. Nobody, right?
Wow.
So I'm sitting there, and they bring me in early, because that was very nice of them. If I just had a regular, I was like, well, I haven't been to the dentist in a couple of years now. And it's certainly time for a cleaning and a look over. I'd be waiting until late February to get in. But because I told I feel like I got a thing happen with the sensitive, and I think there's a filling open. Like, okay, we'll get you in when you come. This Wednesday, fine. This Wednesday morning, come in. And so that is also really nice. So I go there in the hopes that I'm going to get the warbird, because I've had all this stuff in my mouth. And this woman who's been there had this practice for 30-something years. So she's an older lady, but she's not old. She's not going to retire next year. But she's been around the block. I'm like, okay, this is the person, and she's right here. She's local. It's a homey atmosphere. The room, you can actually see pictures of it.
David, it says the reason you have GPS problems is because you're in airplane mode. That's why you have problems with GPS.
Well, take me off airplane mode, please. Yeah. And you go into the room to get worked on, and what you're facing is not some office wall, not some pretty picture on the wall, not a TV. They have a TV in the room, but it's just a garden, right? And it was pretty surprisingly for the time of year, green. So you're looking out on nature, and I have that. We have that in Colorado too, I think, or was it in
Colorado?
Yeah.
You always get confused.
Where you sit in the chair, and the one thing is you get to look at something kind of relaxing and nice and real. It's not like you're watching a TV of goldfish going by. It's an actual thing. It would be better than nothing, better than a wall.
I heard they have axolotls.
Oh, if only. That would be very relaxing. So I get in there and she said, well, you're not going to see Dr. So-and-so. She's got for this, because of this, and we're fitting you in, you're getting the new girl. Freaking kidding me. And they got this young woman. She's got to be, I think she's hitting 30s, but not much older than that. And someone who's been a little around them, but not much. And I'm like, oh great, oh good, this is just what I want with my hair lip and my this thing. And then let's get someone in there who's got the manual under her arm.
It's actually better because the older generation were not trained as broadly. But the newer generation, like Meislik, the one you always think was whatever, when he went to NYU dental school, he trained people. So he was training the next generation to be more savvy.
Yeah, I'm sure the older person is training this woman. Yeah. She only looked up on YouTube for videos 3 or 4 times.
I think she was also tweeting while she was
Well, she's of that generation also. So she's a talker. We try... One of the things that she does, and I thought only doctors would do this, but apparently dentists too, or maybe she did, is first time, she never met me before, sits me down in the chair, in the dental chair, and we're just talking for like 10 minutes.
Well, she wants to make sure you're okay.
I probably wants to hear how I'm talking, although I still have a mask on at this point, so she's not really seeing my teeth or my bite or anything, but she can probably hear stuff, checking my eyes, making sure I guess I don't have eye jaundice or something. So, and she knows I'm a nervous person, so she's relaxing me, except she's as hyper as I am.
Oh,
she's not nervous, but she's got that that energy thing. So it's completely the wrong energy for a man who just wants to okay, I need a filling done, please.
I was telling mom this story, and I said the dentist in Colorado was like librarian. She's like, how are you doing, David?
There you go.
She's like, I'm just going to work here quietly.
Yeah. No, this is the opposite.
She was very quiet.
And so she starts, they start doing the stuff and the assistant, but when she's not talking to me, she's now talking to the assistant about everything under the sun, about, the assistant, her nephew was sick, so they're talking about that, he had a fever the night before, and then they're talking about the stuff they're watching on TV.
Oh my God.
Like The Witcher, Blood Origin. I'm sitting here. You're putting a hole in my thing. You're clearing away debris. And she said, "Oh, that's really deep." I'm like, "Great, thank you." I'm like, I'm sure that she gave me Novocaine. I was like, "No, a little more." Like my dad, like more Novocaine, please. And meanwhile, I said, "Oh, it's a show called Blood Origin." Really? And now they're talking about like how hot Chris Hemsworth is. I'm sitting there in the chair.
You should raise your hand.
With the cotton and and it's like, oh, but Chris Hemsworth is apparently out of the show, and this other guy, but he's also hot. So they get this.
Okay,
like,
good.
oh, I'm so glad to hear.
I'm glad too.
So of course I asked, like, well, is there a girl? And she hot today? Oh yeah, she's good looking. I'm like, oh, who's that?
Did they invite you over to dinner for the house?
But it was not peaceful. It was lively and
yes.
kind of fun. So that does take your mind off it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, at a certain point, you're sitting in a chair. having a procedure done, you also want a little quiet and like,
That's
shut
how
the
they
fuck
did it.
up.
Well, that's what they did in Colorado when they did my root canal.
Yeah.
They were all chitter chatting, and I'm chatty, but I'm also not chatty. I think people misunderstand me. I think, it's just sometimes people think it's a way to calm you, like you distract you from.
Right, which it sort of does, but at the same time, it's like, it's more calming. Just, let me just look out the window, do your stuff, and you can hum a little.
You should bring I'll give you my earbuds. You can put on your phone.
I don't want to be rude, but yeah, I could.
No, I think that helps you. So we have the earbuds, or in your phone you have a plug. You could just put the ear thing
and put it in my phone and listen. Yeah. We'll see. Because I know the thing was.
That's what people do, honey.
I have to come back in a couple of weeks to check on it, and then I really get. She didn't even look at the rest of my mouth. She took an X-ray. I warned her. I said, I'm a gagger.
Wait. Oh, no, not that one.
Well, that will do. And I didn't do my usual joke, which I used to do in Colorado. I say, I'll warn you, I'm a gagger. One of the many reasons I'm not gay. Ha ha ha. I didn't do that joke.
When you gag?
Yeah, because the bike plate. I think they're using things from 1987 in this place. Because I have this old-fashioned, the X-ray thing going through the middle of my palate, which is not nice. And and so they should kind of try a different one. It's like, let's just get through this thing. And she does one, but I'm going to need a series. She didn't really look at all the stuff where I'm expecting the real crap is to be going on. Not to mention, when I went to the one guy on Long Island, he said, well, all this stuff eventually going to have to be redone and come out. It's old, it's getting, I'm like, Jesus, not yet. He said, it's holding fine. But that's not going to last the rest of your life.
This is what I hate about people. This is what I hate.
Yeah.
These doctors and physicians, let things be. If nothing's wrong
now,
it's like, one day we're all going to die. Yes, but you can't, it's like, they're so it's like, one day this is going to be, duh.
I know.
Of course we know that. Give me a break.
Yeah. No, let me let you know a couple of things. You're watching Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz. It's our 879th episode of the show. We're calling it Crown Jewels. I haven't said this yet. Crown Jewels, because we have not one but two guests on the program.
I'll make you tea.
Jules, yes, please. A nice hot sweet tea. Thank you very much. That's my darling and wonderful wife, Joyce.
First, I gotta help you.
Who will help me prepare. Well, we have actually, here's the deal. One of our guests coming up later in the show is Julie Halston, veteran comic actress. She's doing a cabaret show shortly in New York where you can get to see her, and she's done Broadway and off-Broadway. Kind of sad that Everett Quinton passed away. He was from the Ridiculous Theatricals. She came up with Theater in Limbo and Charles Busch. Another friend of ours in the Daverhood. But anyway, Julie Halston was on the show about almost a decade ago. We're having her back. Yay. But before then, we have a major dude. He is a producer, has been a radio host, a film producer, theater producer, and he's written his memoir called Trying Not to Hold It Against Me. He's Julian Schlossberg, and he's waiting patiently in the room to talk, not to me, but to the great, the one, the only, the Jewish Rabbi Saul Solomon. So let me get the Rabbi's music up. A little bit of klezmer for you. And then Rabbi Saul, the next voice you hear will be very, very Jewish. Oh, yeah. Shalom, my friends. Shalom, my enemies. This is your old pal, Rabbi Saul Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And it is a delight and a joy to bring to the Daverhood a major major dude, a producer, a studio executive. He was also a radio person for a while, a theater person, film person. Let me tell you about this. He was even on Channel 68, had something else to watch besides Uncle Floyd at one point. He was a film distributor. He was a record producer in a label specializing in folk musicians like Eric Anderson and Judy Collins and Eliza Gilkison, all of whom have been on this program. And he has 6 Tony Awards, 7 Drama Desk Awards, and 5 Outer Critics Circle Awards. And he's just finished his memoir coming out on January 31st from Beaufort Books. It's Try Not to Hold It Against Me, which so many women have told me. Ladies and gentlemen, why don't you please welcome to the Daverhood, Julian Schlossberg. Shalom, Julian, hello.
Well, Saul, this is pretty exciting to listen to you. This woke me up. I'm ready now.
This is good.
I wasn't sure before, but I'm ready now.
Oh, wait till you hear me for 5 more minutes, then you'll be ready to leave. But now that we have you, and we are so thrilled and delighted, and I love, you can tell, a Jewish person with some level of success because they're surrounded by books and videotapes and media and culture. So when were you brought up with that? Were you brought up to love art and literature and music?
Yes, actually, that's a very good way of putting it. My mother was an extraordinarily intelligent woman who had graduated high school at 15, college at 19. She could have kept going if she wanted to, but my grandmother put an end to it. And my dad was a man who just loved show business with a great singing voice. And so between the intelligence and the show business love, I guess I certainly got the show business love, and I hope abyssal.
Abyssal. You know what this word means? What does that word mean? No.
Who knows?
It's the opposite of a ganze. There you go. So,
there you go.
So
now
it
was an interesting time, Saul, because it was a totally different world at that point, as you probably know. Even if you didn't live it, you've read about it. But movies would open downtown New York City. One theater would play a year, would not come to the neighborhoods, wouldn't go out with thousands of prints. You would just go, if you wanted to see that movie, you had to go downtown Manhattan.
That's how I saw Deep Throat. Not that. Kidding.
Well, I must say we're keeping it on a high level, and that's important, very important.
On Shabbos yet, ladies and gentlemen. So, what was the first movie that you went to see in a movie theater? That was like, oh, you were post-silent. This would have been what, the 50s or when?
Not the silent period. No, it was the very first. My dad took me to see a movie with the Marx Brothers called A Night in Casablanca. I was about 4 years old. Ironically enough, Saul, and this is really talking about La Ronde, how these things happen, I ended up buying that movie. I bought the negative of A Night in Casablanca for the world when I owned a company called Castle Hill Productions. So it's funny how that, I haven't thought of that. It's funny. I don't think I put that in the book. But you have it first.
Look, it's an exclusive. We're going to knock that Tyree cop beating thing off the front page. Julian Schlossberg bought the movie that he first saw when he was 4 years old.
That's exactly right.
This is going to be all over Newsmax. But let me ask you, now you're 80 recently you turned, or not?
I didn't hear that question.
Okay, you are 80 years old, yes? You just recently turned
81. Who's counting?
Obviously, I can't count because I got it wrong. But what was the thing that made you suddenly, or not suddenly, go, you know what, I've had a life. It's time for me to recount the amazing stories I've done. What made you write the book? Classic.
Well, two things. One, of course, constantly being told after I told a story about something, you got to write a book, but you hear that all the time. The pandemic, though, said you got to write a book, because I couldn't do what I love to do, which was produce. I mean, I could, but I wasn't. Let's go back. I did a play off Broadway called Mornings at 7, a beautiful play, a revival. Yeah. I did it during the pandemic. I had a terrific cast. Tony Roberts, Dan Lauria, Judith Ivey, Patty McCormick. I mean, it was really terrific. And it's a great play. It won all kinds of awards. It won the Tony when it was revived.
Right.
And yet I couldn't get an audience to come in with good reviews. So I thought, I better not do this for a while until the audiences return and the pandemic calms down. What can I do? And that's when I decided to write the book.
Now, are you producing again? The pandemic is still with us, but it's not really still with. So do you have your fingers in something?
Yes, actually, in March, we start rehearsal with Steve Guttenberg. Steve Guttenberg wrote a book called Tales from the Guttenberg Bible. And I decided he's an old friend. I said, why don't you try to adapt it to a play? And he did. And David Saint, who runs the George Street Theater in Rutherford, New Jersey,
Yeah.
loved the play, and he's going to direct it. I'll produce it, and Steve will star with 3 or 4 other actors. And it's an incredible tale. This is a young man at 17 years old who convinces his parents he's going to go to LA to become a movie star. I mean, it's like Alice in Wonderland. He doesn't go with training. He doesn't go with contacts. He sneaks on the Paramount lot, finds an empty office, and starts working. I mean, it's an amazing story.
I mean, this is the true story of what Steve Guttenberg did. It's not a fictional.
Yes, it's not fictional at all. Thank you. A totally true story. In fact, here's a guy who ended up doing Diner, 3 Men and a Baby, Cocoon, 2 Cocoons, 5 Police Academies, a genuine movie star. And he did it on his own. It's a kind of a lovely play, and we start rehearsal, as I say, in March. We open in April.
Oh, mit Mazel. And you're hoping, how is, George Street is a regional theater. Are they seeing the audiences come back? Because regional theaters, the audience tends to be between 70 and your site. So
that's the only reason I'm doing it there. Not the only reason, but the major reason is that their audiences are very loyal. They are subscribers, and they are able to bring an audience back in. So yes, we'll start there. Also, when you play New York, you're competing against 40, 50, 60 theaters and critics who are unrelenting. So it's much better to go out of town. I take almost every play I've ever done, and I've done many, almost all of them out of town.
What was your greatest producing experience in the theater?
Anytime you work with Woody Allen and Elaine May, you're working with 2 of the great comic geniuses of our time. And then I was able once to get Mike Nichols to come in, not take credit, but try to save a play I did. So I've worked with 3 of the greats. Larry Gelbart was terrific, Arthur Penn. If you're fortunate enough to work with the finest people, hopefully your game gets a little better as well, And so I couldn't pick one thing any more than people with 8 or 10 children. They might.
I have 21 and a half children, and there's some I hate and some I love, and some their heads are still.
But we know you're a different kettle of fish. I mean, let's not kid ourselves.
I'm a whole box of herring, ladies and gentlemen. But let me ask. But it's wonderful that you, certainly as a producer, are able to name drop. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that you can say, I worked with this, and they were great, they were wonderful, but you've written a book. And a book requires actual funny or profound or moving anecdotes and stories. So tell some stories. Don't just drop in there. I remember, I'll make this quick, but Dave, the producer of the show, went to see a one-man, kind of a 2-person show with Mickey Rooney. He was at the Irish Repertory Theater off Broadway, basically doing the story of his life. And all he was doing was saying at his age, he was reading from cue cards. And then I worked with Judy Garland, and wasn't she wonderful? And then I worked with so-and-so. And then and you learned nothing about anything. Yeah. So with all I don't want to hear, I worked with they were great. Bye. Give me stories, goddammit, please.
Well, I was, I had a company called Castle Hill Productions. It was named after my last name. Schloss in German is a castle, and Berg is generally a hill or a mountain. I had left Paramount. They had the mountain, so I took the hill. And also, it was a small company. I wasn't going to start with a mountain. So I had that company, and we would go to LA every year as a convention called NAPI, the National Association of Television Program Executives.
As it happens, I'm wearing a nappy as we speak. I've had to since my 80s. Yeah.
You got a good sense of humor, Sal. I may call you after the show. Anyhow, one-man show.
I've done it. I will send you the video. It needs to be produced, maybe in George Street. We'll talk. Anywho.
So I'm out at the convention at NAPI, and two men walk in and say, "We have an Orson Welles movie that no one's seen." And I said, "Oh, you must have Chimes at Midnight." They said, "No." I said, "What's the name of it?" "We're not going to tell you." "Oh, you're not going to tell me? We just want to know if you're interested." I said, "Of course I'm interested. Listen, I have John Ford's Stagecoach. I have Hitchcock's Foreign Correspondent. I've got Lubitsch's To Be or Not to Be. I'd love to have an Orson Welles film." So, okay, fade out. I go home. I forget about them. And about 2 months later, I get a call. My secretary says there's a Beatrice Wells on the phone. I'll say, okay. I say, I figure it must be an actress because Gwen Wells was in Nashville as an actress, as you may remember. And it turns out it's Orson Welles' youngest daughter. And she's coming to New York and she'd like to meet with me. And so she comes to New York and she meets with me. And I'm chauvinistically enough figuring a heavy woman with a beard. And in comes a gorgeous, and I mean beautiful, woman who could be a model, and turned out she was a model. And she tells me that she owns her dad's version of Othello that no one has seen in almost 40 years. Am I interested? I said, "Are you kidding?" "Of course I'm interested." And to make a long story a little longer, the men who'd come to see me were attorneys. They were in Chicago, that Tattling town, and they had found some folks who could get involved with bringing back the music, re-recording, because the music was in terrible shape. It was shot in the late 40s after the war in Italy, so I don't have to tell you the sound was no good. Anyhow, they did their work, and they then sent me the print, and I saw that it was out of sync, but really out of sync. And so I went to get a mixer, somebody who...
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, it's really annoying, especially if it's Shakespeare, So I went to the mixer in New York, who is probably the finest mixer in the business, a man named Lee Dichter, who did Mike Nichols movies, Woody Allen movies, Nora Ephron's movies, Alan Pakula, all the best. And I said to him, I really need your help. He said, "I'm booked. I can't do anything, nothing." I said, "Will you just look at it? I don't want you to do anything. I just want your advice." "Oh, okay." So I go over. The first reel of Othello is magnificent. The music, the sound, the everything, the photography. And he turns to me, and he's an artist, and he turns to me and says, "You son of a bitch." And I got him. Weekends, at night, but he did it. We put it together. We went to the Cannes Film Festival in 1992, 40 years after the movie had won the film festival in 52, but never got played. Had one run in New York City, it died, and that was the end of it. And then we brought it back for the world. It played all over. So I would say it's not the only thing I'm really proud of, but it's right up there, because that film would, perhaps without me, would have languished. Perhaps, maybe not.
I mean, at this point now, maybe with all the film restorations, that Ted Turner would have colorized it. Actually, colorized it even more. We could make him Orson from black to yellow. And we would say, well, let's make part of him pink and part of him green. Let's go really out there now. But did you? I don't remember when Orson Welles died. Did you get to meet him, or was he already gone at this point?
I never met him. I did go with Beatrice to his grave, which is in Spain. And I did visit the gravesite. We have pictures there, but I never did meet him. The irony of it was I was supposed to meet him, and we had everything arranged to meet at a restaurant called Ma Maison in L.A. with a fellow named Henry Jaglom, who was a director and who was a close friend of his. I got a call that they had to change it to Sunday night, but Sunday night I was on WMCA from 8 to midnight live, and I would go to the Cannes Film Festival, and take 4 weeks off and give them 4 weeks worth of older shows or new shows that I taped before I left. So I couldn't take another week off. I mean, they were kind enough to let me have 4 weeks off.
Yeah.
So I had to miss Orson Welles' dinner for my radio show.
You should have put Orson on a plane and bring him back to WMCA and gone live with it. Everybody would
That's
listen.
right. I wish I had. That would have been something.
Were you one of the good guys, or was that not? I don't mean that.
No, I know what you mean. No, I was 74 to 80. I was there for 7 years, from 8 to midnight. Then I did WOR for a couple of years, but I had lost the excitement and the thrill of doing it as a much younger man. 20 years later, things change in your life, and
Please, I've been doing this shit show for 20 years, and here I am. But let me ask you, though, of all the because you were interviewing some heavy-duty major people on your shows on there, on OR and WMCA, what was the best and what was the worst interview you ever had there?
Well, the worst is always, you don't want to nearly knock people.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Especially, even if they're alive, but especially if they're dead. Who cares? Dish the dirt. Who was a jerk or one monosyllabic idiot?
I'll say this. He was not a jerk. He was drunk. It was Irwin Shaw, who was a wonderful writer who wrote The Young Lions and Rich Man, Poor Man, and many things. Irwin Shaw was a huge writer. And he came into the studio drunk, and I was afraid to do the interview. But oh my God, is that you or me?
That's actually you.
Well, I'll try to get rid of it.
If it's Spielberg, tell him I'm busy. I'll call him after my show.
I hope that's not Irwin Shaw. That would be frightening.
That would be extreme.
Shut up, Schlossberg.
He's drunk dialing. That's what he's doing right now. He's like, Julian, it's me, Irwin. No,
and I have my GND on, Saul. I don't know what's going, but it's never going to stop. Oh, it did stop. All right.
No, if you're a producer, you never want this phone to stop ringing. We all know this. An actor and a producer, if the phone stops ringing, it's like, was it Joan Rivers? She was terrified to have an empty spot in her calendar. There's even 70, 80s, if you ever saw the documentary about her. She was like, oh my God, we have to fill every single day with things, or else the phone stops ringing, you're dead.
Yeah, that's a sad problem to have. Anyhow, Irwin Shaw comes on Smash, and I'm really quite nervous, but I go on the air with him, and he sobers up. I couldn't believe it. It was like Jekyll and Hyde. He was wildly coherent, articulate, talking away, beautifully done. Back to commercials. Yeah, you're doing fine, kid. Keep it up. What? This was really... So that was an interesting, crazy one.
And that wasn't the worst. That could not have been the worst interview because it was a wonderful interview. It was just...
No, there were, I can't say two of them. Oh, I guess they're both gone, but no, I can't do it. Anyhow, two actors did come in to Smash, and I had to throw them off the air, on the air. I threw them off the air on the air.
Were they using bad words? I hit the
no, but they were giggling and smiling and acting like high school kids, and that's generally okay with me, but they went down to elementary, and I felt that was it. Had to stop.
Yeah, I have a no giggling policy on this program.
I think I've done, Saul, I've done hundreds and hundreds of interviews, not just on the radio, but I have a show that I'm still working on called Witnesses to the 20th Century, where I've interviewed 140 of the most extraordinary people on the planet. I mean, everyone from George H.W. Bush to Sandra Day O'Connor to Bishop Tutu to Clint Eastwood. It goes on and on. It's an incredible list of people. So when you say what was the best, I can't say on the radio. And you told me not to name drop, so here I'm doing.
No, name drop with stories.
You're leading me into name dropping.
I do this. No, but not name drop just to drop the name and leave.
No, I never do that.
And tell us a story. So I want to hear who was. It doesn't have to be the most famous person, but who was the funniest, or who had a great story to tell you.
Donald O'Connor, Singing in the Rain, Francis the Talking Mule, Donald O'Connor, one of the greats. At the end of the show, we did an incredible show. At the end of his interview, I said, Donald O'Connor, you've done it all. 50 years in show business. You've done it. You've been in a circus. You've been in carnivals, and then you were in movies and television and theater. Of everything you've done professionally, what would you say was the highlight of your career? He said, talking to you, Julian. And Saul, I swear to you, it was the only time in 9 years of programming that I couldn't sign off. I was laughing so hard. He had deadpanned it, and he did it knee jerk. It was so fast, you know. I guess I had really lobbed it in, but I didn't realize I had.
He,
And
he took a page out of the Joe Franklin book. It's like,
oh,
you are
yeah.
the best, most wonderful person in the whole world ever in the history of the universe, my friends. By the way, I am Rabbi Sal Solomon. I'm talking to the great, the one, the only, the fantastic, the Jewish Julian Schlossberg, whose book you have to get. This book, it's called Try Not to Hold It Against Me from Beaufort Books. So tell us, please, Julian, the title itself of the book, which has a naughty connotation, but also it's probably connected to a story in there. Where did you do something? Is I have to do this as a producer? I'm sorry. Try not to hold it against me.
Well, yeah. Well, you are good, Sal. I'm going to do this show again if you invite me. Anyhow, what I was going to say was, there are a lot of people who are not happy with Woody Allen, and I produced all his plays. A lot of people are not happy about Harvey Weinstein. I taught him the movie business. A lot of people are not happy about a fellow named Alan Klein, who handled the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. I was a consultant for him. So I worked with controversial figures. My first real champion was Elia Kazan. Now, he named names in the McCarthy period. So I felt, there's a lot of people that I've worked with and cared for and were friends with that are controversial figures. So I thought that might be a good thing. And you said a funny thing at the beginning, and I'll tell you where it came from in my head. In the book, I explained, I called Burt Reynolds to do Sly Fox on Broadway. I didn't know him, and I left a mess. He didn't do it, by the way.
Yeah, Dreyfuss went in, Richard Dreyfuss.
Right. I called Reynolds and I left a message. Hi, Bert, this is Julian Schlossberg. I'm a New York City producer. Please don't hold it against me. So try not to hold it against me. So that's where it came from. However, in Hellzapoppin', a comics named Olson and Johnson, who made a movie, Hellzapoppin', a little fat guy who looked a lot like Lou Costello, Chick Johnson, is on the stand. And the prosecutor says, remember, anything you say can be held against you. And he jumps up and goes, Marlene Dietrich.
And see, it is that naughty little, cute little. I guess so. I get that.
But you gave it to me by saying something at the beginning that said that. So there you go.
So what do you say? You brought it up, which is very kind of you. So I have to kind of go there. It's like, what do you say when people say you knew, let's say, Harvey Weinstein for all these years? Had you no idea? Had you not heard the whispers? Had he never confessed to, as it were, that he had a casting couch or a casting massage table or whatever the heck it was?
He had nothing. He had nothing when I knew him. He was very successful as a rock and roll promoter in Buffalo. And he would get, if Sinatra would do 6 shows in the United States or the Rolling Stones, he'd be one of them. He was a top promoter. He came to me to learn the movie business. He knew nothing about the film business.
So at that point, he didn't have
He had a lovely girlfriend who was quite attractive and sweet. I've never seen her mentioned, and I'm not going to mention her either. But it's interesting that they never bring that up. He was
to Ghislaine Maxwell and her guy.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
He was funny. He had great taste. He had a sense of humor. And he was a guy from the streets the way I was. And so it interested me to help him. And ironically enough, Saul, because my show was in New York and I was getting Jack Nicholson and Betty Davis and John Huston, getting these huge names, he said, why don't you syndicate the show and I'll sell it for you around the country? And he sold it in Boston and Buffalo and Providence and Jacksonville. He sold it all over the country. So my time with Harvey, I never in a million years would have predicted the heights he went to or the depths he sunk to. I never would have.
So here's the deal. Would you ever send him a birthday card? Or would you get in touch and you say, I know what everybody says, and maybe you did some terrible things, but thank you for, or it was good to mentor you back, or do you just kind of?
No, I think he would be the one. If anybody should send anyone a card, it would be he to me.
Thanking you.
Yeah, I have nothing to send him. I'm sorry and ashamed for him. And I'm sorry for him, and I'm really sorry for all the women and men, because it wasn't women just sex; it was men bullying, terrific bullying, punching his own brother. So it's not. I punched him in the face. Terrible. So no, I never saw anything that.
I kick. I don't. I got no power in there. Kicking my brother, I've done this a few times, I admit, but it's only in places
That's why I'm an only child.
Let me ask you though. I don't want to believe the Woody Allen stuff because I grown up loving Woody Allen, a brilliant genius, incredible movies. I'm assuming you don't buy it either.
Not absolutely don't buy 1 minute of it at all. And of course, now in truth, the only human being on the planet who knows the truth is Woody. The little girl could have been brainwashed, as many of us believe she was. So we don't know. What I do know is this. When we were casting during the summer, one of our plays that we did together, it was summertime and we were on the 10th floor and Woody said, I can't take the elevator. He said, there could be a brownout, there could be a problem. And if there is, I'm claustrophobic and I cannot be in a space. So the idea that he took a little girl into the attic never happened, in my opinion. If you're claustrophobic, you're not going into an attic.
That's right. Yeah, all right. Tell me a Woody Allen story that is, a happy or something into the mind.
We had a lot of fun together. One dinner, he was saying something that he regretted. He told me a story that he regretted, which I don't remember. And I said, that's interesting because I don't regret anything. He said, oh, come on, Julian. Everybody regrets things. I said, no, Woody, I've made mistakes. I'm not kidding. But that's part of the mosaic of my life. Those were my mistakes, and hopefully I learned from them. I don't regret it, though. Back and forth. And finally I said, Woody, je regrette rien. Now, that means I regret nothing, but it's also what Edith Piaf said. And he knew that. And for the first time in a long time, I made him laugh.
Isn't it wonderful when you make someone like that laugh?
Well, it is, because comics don't laugh.
Yeah.
I've been lucky enough to be at a table of huge comics, some of the biggest in the business. And I'm not going to name their names. But anyhow, at the table, I was with a daughter of one of them. And we were at the kiddies table. We weren't allowed to sit at the big round table. They would tell a joke. We're screaming with laughter in the corner. Their highest accolade, no one laughed, not one comic laughed. Highest accolade was they would bang the table. That's what, if you had a good joke and they liked it, bam, 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 bam. So yeah, comics don't generally laugh. I did make Jackie Mason laugh a few times, though.
There you go. Well, also a fellow radio person for a long time. What did you tell to Jackie? What did you do to Jackie Mason that made him laugh? That made him so. Tell me.
Well, I'll tell you the funny thing about Jackie Mason for me. I was his manager for a while, and that's in the second book. I didn't write it in the first book. No, true. I've just written, I guess, 20 some odd chapters for the next book because. When you go on shows and you start remembering things that you forgot to write about. So I'm starting to write that. Anyhow, he comes to me. He has a movie that nobody wants. It's called The Stoolie. He stars in it with Marsha Jean Kurtz and a fellow, the guy who played the Kojak's boss, Dan somebody or other. I don't know. Even you don't know. So
and I know everything. But yes,
and you know it all. So I look at the movie and it's a sweet movie and he can't get anybody to open it. And so I call a couple, I don't have a theater, but I'm very close to a man who owns the 68th Street Playhouse in New York City. And I tell him, this is a good movie. You ought to look at it. Why aren't you taking it? I said, I'm booked. And Jackie will go on shows, et cetera, et cetera. So he opens the movie and it gets some nice reviews and it does some business. And then Jackie comes to me and said, you're the only one who could get it open, therefore you should be my manager. I said, that's great, except I don't know how to manage. I've never managed anyone. He said, it doesn't matter. He said, I'm not working. They banned me, because he'd done.
This is before the world according to me and all of that. This was
yes. Way before. I go back to the Punic Wars, Saul. We go back a long time. At 81, you got to go back a long time. Anyhow, I said, let me ask you a question. How did you get this movie financed? He said, well, I could only work Miami. And I had a big fan there, an older man who really liked me. And he came up to me and said to me, what do you want to do next? And he said, well, I'd like to do this movie. He says, how much will it cost? He says, I'll give you the money. And it turned out the man was Meyer Lansky.
Oh.
So Meyer Lansky financed the movie The Stoolie. Had I known that, I might not have been involved with the movie.
What, did you have to deal with the gangsters, or you were just...
No.
It's already made. You're distributing it, not that.
I didn't have to deal with anyone but Jackie, and that was difficult enough.
But when did you make Jackie laugh? You said the premise.
Well, a lot of times. I just did. Yeah. What happened was there were two deputy mayors for John Lindsay. God, I'm turning into Uncle Remus here. So anyhow, there were two deputy
played
mayors.
by Orson Welles in blackface. Yeah.
Can't say blackface. Can't do blackface. Be careful.
Schwarzenegger. Yeah. Okay.
Sid Davidoff and Dick Aurelio, they were the deputy mayors to John Lindsay. They left the organization. They took over the old Toots Shaw's restaurant and called it Jimmy's. It was a nightclub. Okay, they're going to open up, and I bunk into an old girlfriend from college who happens to be married to Sid Davidoff, who's one of the owners. What are you doing? She says, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I said, what is going on with you? So, my husband's opening the restaurant and a nightclub. I said, I can get you Jackie Mason. She said, what? Really? I said, yeah, see if they want him. And they called the next day. They wanted him. I booked him in there, and that started my managing career. It ended very quickly, Saul. I'll tell you why. The next thing I did was get him a place in the Pines in the Borscht Belt, up in Monticello, in that area of Liberty, Monticello. And I said, Jackie, I got you the Pines. I'm so excited. We're making triple what we made at Jimmy's. He said, what about Grossingers? I said, well, Grossingers don't want you. They didn't want you. How about the Concord? I said, listen, we've got the Pines. You want it or you don't want it. You told me you'll take any booking as long as it's not a dive. Here, I've got you this booking. He says, no, I don't think. I said, Jackie, I have just resigned, but you're getting 20%. You're getting 20%. I said, I know, but I'm giving up 20%. I said, I only have a reputation. That's all I have. You asked me to go out. I got the Pines. I'm out. And I left. And but we became friends after.
Oh, good. You got. He didn't give you the finger, and that ruined 10 more years.
That's right. It didn't. Sometimes it does, but I fired actors and directors, and I still remain friendly with some, and some I didn't. So
well, we are getting extremely friendly with the delightful Julian Schlossberg, who is going to stick around, God bless you, for a little bit of a while to play a trivia game with Dave and the regular contestants on the Today Yesterday trivia show. Alas, I have to get to Temple. I'm already a little overdue there. This is Rabbi Sal Solomon. So you folks watching at home, don't go away, because obviously you want to spend some more time with this man, even though he has to be on this crappy show. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to play my outro music, and Dave will be there in 30 seconds. Start counting. You can count now. Here we go.
No, this is Superman. Man goes from Clark Kent into Dave Lefkowitz.
Well, it's the Schlemiel version of Superman. But ladies and gentlemen, this is Dave. Yes, he's right, Dave Lefkowitz. Even in my name, Julian Schlossberg. Everybody should know his name and get his book. It's called Try Not to Hold It Against Me from Beaufort Books. It's coming out in just a couple of days, so order it now. You can also get on his website, Julian Schlossberg, producer. The yelling was, of course, Rabbi Sal Solomon, and we're letting in, first of all, we're letting my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, back into the program for important noises to be made, and some other friends of the Daverhood to play our Today Yesterday quiz. And those include the delightful and lovely Eva Heinemann, who is a theater critic and has been for many years doing the program High Drama on Manhattan Neighborhood Network and also on the YouTube channel. Hello, Eva. Please say hi to producer Julian Schlossberg, who is here to play the trivia game.
Hello, Eva. How nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too. Ooh, I love the background. I didn't have time to fix mine.
And we also have now Leslie Hoban Blake. I don't know if she's going to get physically on camera, but we certainly, she's logged in. We need her to unmute. Leslie is also Well, she's a former actress and she is a theater critic from the show Two on the Aisle and has been a longtime friend of the Daverhood. So Leslie, are you there? Sometimes it takes a little much to log in. So I must have, well, Eva, how was your week?
Oh, no, I actually had to work this week, so I had to get up really early in the morning, and that's terrible for a theater person to have to get up at 4 in the morning.
Good Lord, what are you doing? What's your job? I don't recall.
Oh, no, I work for this company called ATN, and they give me weird jobs to do. I mean, a girl's got to make money somehow. We don't do it in the theater. I mean, a producer, yes. A theater critic, no.
No, certainly not. Yeah.
Some real estate convention called Inman. I don't know. I had to scan badges, let people in. Boring.
And tell me what shows? Hello, Leslie. So, Eva, what did you go to the theater this week? What did you?
Oh, of course I did. Nothing stops me from that. Oh my gosh. So I did special things. So I saw an Edith Piaf concert at the town hall, but then I saw the Songs of the Holocaust at the Carnegie Hall. And there you have this sold out house at Carnegie Hall.
Yeah.
You know, remembering Holocaust and how they tried to kill us all. And there, this sold out house of Carnegie Hall full of Jews saying the Kaddish. It was the most moving thing I've ever experienced. It's like, yay, Hitler, you know, F you, Hitler. We won, we won. We're still here, and look at us.
I'm very sorry to step on your excitement, Eva, but I've always thought that those places are trapped. I've always thought that it's a plot. You get a bunch of Jews in a place to sing about remembering the Holocaust, and it's there. They're all there in one spot.
I thought you said it's crap, and then I realized no, he said it's a trap. It's like
No,
Palestinians inviting all these Jews to one
I
place.
remember going to a Neil Diamond concert and thinking the same thing at Carnegie Hall because it was nothing but older Jews with graying hair. That was who were there.
It's like we can wipe out the intelligentsia of New York in one bomb.
That's exactly what I kept thinking. I'm sorry. You were so excited, Eva. I just couldn't wait anymore to say it. I'm so sorry.
Now, Leslie, you're going to want to also say hello to
I'm the optimist. You're the pessimist.
to producer Julian Schlossberg.
That's not a pessimist. That's a clear thinker. That's not a pessimist. I don't believe it's going to happen. I think it might. That's all. That doesn't make me a pessimist at all. This is Mr. Schlossberg. I'm almost afraid to say Julian. My goodness.
Please do, because otherwise I think my dad's alive, which would be great.
And you know, the awful thing is, this is so awful. And it's not awful. It's wonderful. You look exactly like a friend of mine who passed away. And that's my telephone.
Leslie.
You know, I was thinking, what guests should I get on?
Leslie is trying to psych out her opponents.
Yeah,
she's trying to psych out her opponents.
A great dynamic.
I could literally show you a photograph. He's wearing the same. I'm not kidding.
Leslie, you're not making it better.
It stopped my heart for a second.
I
It
must say,
literally stopped my heart for a second. You're a very handsome man, and
She
it's
is.
lovely to meet you.
Well, you know what the Hungarians say? The Hungarians say that it's good luck. My friend in high school, she would say it in her language. When you see a hearse, it's a good thing because you're not in it.
That's not what I mean at all. It's not what I mean at all. The resemblance is remarkable, and it just
Well,
makes
he
my
also-
heart happy.
I believe he also looks a bit like Stephen Sondheim, quite honestly, if I'm not mistaken. I do believe
Yes.
there's a
You know, the idea that your friend is dead and I'm 81 years old doesn't cheer me in the morning.
Julian, he made it to 99.
Oh, well, like
No,
my mother.
no.
Just like my mom.
He looks like a 99-year-old.
No. You got a younger, more robust version of him. But the point is, never
keep
mind.
digging, Leslie. I'll give you another shovel.
Leslie,
I've insulted everybody. I haven't insulted you yet, David, but that's impossible to do. Good morning, Joyce.
Good morning. Good morning. Okay, let me. Not that I don't love the energy here, but we have a game to play. Plus, we also we want to get through the game because at 11 o'clock we have our guest Julie Halston coming by and returning to the Daverhood, so that should be a lot
I
of fun.
was just thinking of Julie. I didn't realize that Ralph died. It happened, and it just went right. I know now. I know. I went to their wedding. I know. I'm sorry. Julian, I've been sick in the house since Thanksgiving.
Oh,
I have
girl.
not appeared on this show except for once.
Oh, girl.
I feel like a ghost myself, and I'm going out today for the first time, so I'm very excited myself.
Ooh,
With
we're
Leslie.
I'm very
honored.
excited.
Yeah. Well, no, Leslie, and she said this on the show. She suffered a very bad case of shingles over the past.
Unbelievable.
So now you're going to a shingles bar, which is
I'm
going to
going
be
to a
really
shingles
exciting
bar,
for you.
that's it, yes.
Not even a smile. Julian, you were laughing so much with the rabbi, and now you're just giving me like.
He's trying to play
Singular.
I'm trying to get over dying.
I am so sorry.
you're not
I
a
never
comedian.
meant to put a poll over the morning. Would you like me to go? I will leave now.
No,
Oh,
please.
no, it's
I
No,
will
no.
put
I'm-
up- I will go.
Anyhow,
have number picking. Have people pick
Ba-
numbers.
Here's the yes. Joyce,
based on what you said, I'm going for triple figures now. That's it.
Good.
you should live to 120.
yeah.
There you go.
120 or more, yes.
Thousand Yaren.
You know what Joey Lewis? You know what Joey Lewis used to say? He should say, "May you live as long as you can, and the last voice you hear is mine." You know,
Oh.
That's very
He
good.
said that before he murdered.
and Sinatra stole it.
Oh wow.
He started doing it at his concerts. He started doing
Sinatra
it.
used
Yeah.
to sing a song called I'm Gonna Live Till I Die, which
Yes.
my grandfather, who was in vaudeville, played for me the original version that he used to sing in vaudeville in
It's a
1917.
great song. I'm
But it
gonna
was
live till I
slightly
die.
different.
I'm gonna
Right,
live
they
riding
made it-
high.
Right.
Before my number's up, I'm gonna fill my cup. I'm gonna live. Hey, it's a Jewish song.
Yeah.
Was too optimistic.
That was
We
on my
actually did.
Catholic
Yes,
side.
you're
That
right.
was my grandfather on
You're
my
right.
Catholic side.
You have to stop at 11.
Yeah,
David.
yeah. So folks, it is fantastic to have Julian Schlossberg, Eva Heinemann, Leslie Hoban, Blake, and me. 4 Jews in a room bitching. So here's we have a game to play. That's called the Today Yesterday Quiz. And Eva, you played this before. Leslie, Julian, you're new, but it's not a terribly difficult game to play. I hope it's also just ridiculous. Well, no, the questions are ridiculous and stupid. You're not even necessarily supposed to get them, but maybe you will, maybe you won't. But each question is worth 2 points. We have 2 rounds. If you get the question right, you get the points. If you don't, one of the other contestants gets to steal, which is why I have to ask, and Julian being the newbie here, could you kindly pick a number between 1 and 6 and tell me what it is?
2.
2. You win! No, okay. And Eva?
This is a great game.
And now you can go. You see, that's it. That's the whole thing. There it is.
Eva Heinemann, your number that you would pick.
Oh dear, I always pick 2. I'll pick 4.
Eva gets a 4.
In honor of us 4.
And Leslie, 6, I'm assuming.
And I'll complete the chant with 6. So it's 2, 4, 6. The only person missing is 8.
Who do we appreciate?
See, it's kind of 2, 4, and 6, and Julian Schlossberg has worked very often with Woody Allen, and here we are getting even. That's not Woody Allen. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm going to roll the die. Here we go. And beginner's luck. Julian, the number came up as number 2. So you get to decide. Do you want to go first, second, or third in the game?
Oh, let me just jump right in. I mean, cold water and all. I'm ready.
That's the way a producer thinks. Absolutely. Let's do this like a 5, 1, hello, 2, 1. This is the best part of the game, is waiting for the stupid. I'm rolling a digital die, by the way, in case.
Julian, while he's rolling, my friend's daughter was Helen Robin. Is Helen Robin?
Oh wow, yeah.
I didn't think about it's a Woody Allen reference.
Oh, okay.
I'd love to know more about your grandfather and vaudeville.
Oh, I have pictures. Don't get me started. I have photographs and everything.
Well, I'll provide connections after the program. But Leslie, I just rolled a 6, so you can decide.
I'm going to go third because that way I get to hear if anybody makes mistakes. I have the rest of the board.
So here's the deal. So we have the order, which is going to be Julian and Eva and Leslie playing the Today Yesterday quiz. The only other thing, Julian, that you really need to know at first is that some of the questions are based on things that happened in history on this date, on January 28th. Could have been 100 years ago, 500 years ago. That's really it. So are you ready to play the game? Julie.
That is a mere jumping off point, Julian. It really has nothing to do with the game at all anymore, but that's the way it started.
So are you
I'm ready. I'm ready. My hands are sweating, but I'm ready.
Oh,
That's okay. My armpits are here's the deal. The year was 1521. Okay, you're not that old, but you, I don't know what the hell that means. So on
I look at
January
this morning.
28th,
Okay.
1521, and this is a multiple choice question. In order to tamp down the so-called heresy of Martin Luther, Emperor Charles V and Pope Leo X convened the Diet of Worms, a formal assembly to reaffirm Catholicism. Which of these is false about worms?
See
A,
what I mean?
nothing to do at all with Martin Luther, and nothing to do with Catholicism. No, worms. A, of the 178 people who died of mad cow disease in the 1980s and 90s, 6 of them got the disease from the gelatin in gummy worms. B, if a worm is exposed to light for more than half an hour, it becomes paralyzed. C, worms have a clit. Or D, worm babies come from cocoons.
Oh.
Only one of these is false.
And this is my question. This
Yeah.
is why I got up early.
I have to get a pen. Wait a minute.
Are you out in LA? Is it really like 7 in the morning over there, or where are you?
Oh no, it's fine. I look, I've seen worms in the daylight. They were moving all over the place, so I have to go with B.
Ooh.
B, your final answer. If a worm is exposed to light for more than half an hour, it is not true that it becomes paralyzed. Final answer.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
And well, thank goodness you're still alive and not stepping into the light, because that is the incorrect answer, Julian Schlossberg. I'm sorry.
Yes, this is what I wanted. Worms. Wait.
So sorry.
It's just failure and shame in the quiz.
All I can tell you is, in New York, the worms I've worked with, after a half hour of light, they're still working.
Yeah, they were equity. They were equity.
That's right.
worms.
They have to.
I protest. I protest. Where do I go?
They're trying to
Where's
worm
your
their way
worm
into
wrangler?
your
I
good
wanna go.
graces.
One at a time.
Is
Yeah.
there a Lefkowitz complaint department? That's what I want to know.
Let's call my wife. Yes.
So who was your worm wrangler when you
I'm very sorry for any pain or duress that this quiz causes.
So we have a steal opportunity. Eva Heinemann, I came up with a number 4 when I rolled the die. So you can steal this question. Do you know your way around worms, as it were?
Oh, you have to say it again, but I want to give you my pun. They,
Okay,
were,
fine. Yes.
they were trying to worm your way into your good graces.
I'm just going to tamp the Anna lid down on that one. So let me
better
read
you
this again.
than me, Eva.
Which of these is false about worms? A, of the 178 people who died of mad cow disease in the 80s and 90s, 6 of them got the disease from the gelatin in gummy worms. C, worms have a clit. Or D, worm babies come from cocoons. One of these is false.
I'm going to say they come from cocoons.
So you're saying that is not true. It is not true.
I don't think that. Yeah, that's not true.
Final answer?
Yeah, because the clit thing is so ridiculous. It has to be true.
Joyce has my usual noisemaker on this. Well, I don't know. Julian, did you produce or distribute the movie Cocoon? Were you involved in that one?
No, but I'm good friends with Steve Guttenberg, and I'm doing a play with him.
In March.
Oh, yes, I heard about that.
Yeah. So, however, Eva, I'm so sorry, but worms really actually do come from cocoons. That is a true thing. So, Leslie, Hoban, Blake.
I thought you cut one worm up into 5 pieces. You had 5 worms. I thought that's the way it worked.
I don't even know.
Never
Anywho,
mind.
I know.
Can't
for
bring
a
a
When you
lot-
were a kid.
I know
What?
for a fact that Leslie can get the answer now.
Well,
Oh,
yeah.
you think so? You really think so? You have a lot of faith
If you
in me,
don't,
man.
there's-
Here's the problem I have with the gelatin thing. There would be so many more than 6 people who got mad cow from the gelatin. Obviously, it could very well have been ground up in hooves and made into of animals that had mad cow. But mad cow came from animals with hooves, right? So, I don't think that would be possible. You couldn't just have, no, but you couldn't just have 6 people to whom that happened. So I'm going to have to assume that somehow or another, God had, in his infinite wisdom and with his tremendous sense of humor, gave worms a clit. And knowing you, David, that would be the thing you would pick. So let's go with that.
So your answer is, the false answer is?
That worms have the false answer would be that 6 people died from gelatin in gummy bears or gummy worms or whatever.
Final answer?
Sure.
Well, this program is certainly starting to gel. Julian, you are correct. Leslie did get the correct answer here. She does get the 2 points. Here's the deal. Congratulations, Leslie, on the board. Yeah, there was a scare. This is honestly true. There was a scare about gummy worms back in the day because they were made of gelatin, but nobody died from it. By the time they processed the cow that was in it, there was nothing to worry about. A worm senses light through its skin, and if it's exposed to light for more than half an hour, it will be paralyzed. It's not going to be able to move anywhere. And up to 5 babies can come out of one little wormy cocoon. And best of all, the worms do have a clitellum, not a clitoris. It's that round raised part near the head, and that's where, when 2 wormies like each other, they kind of get together for about an hour or 2, and they try.
That's great. At least they can see where it is,
Yeah.
That's the major problem in the world, is that nobody could ever see the damn thing.
But you figure worms would not have sex; they would just masturbate. But anywho, we're going to move on to.
That's a good one, Dave.
Thank you.
That's
No, Julie, you're not slamming the table for good. You've still got that face on, like, oh, there was a joke there. Yeah.
I have a problem. That's why I'm going to the complaint department. I've seen worms. I've seen plenty of worms in the daylight for more than a half hour.
Have you watched them for a half hour?
Of course. Are you kidding? I'm fascinated by worms.
I was going to say, is that what you do out there? Why did you bother going if that's what you do?
Listen, I live near the sea, and there's a lot of worms there, and they kind of move around, and I watch them, and we talk a little, and
This is good. Yeah. All right.
I'm going to the complaint department when this show is over.
This is great.
Are they offering you scripts, though? That's what I want to know. Do they come at you with scripts? I mean, how does that work?
How does what work?
Do the worms come at you with scripts, or do they just, chat about anything?
Believe me, plenty of worms come.
Look, but I got to tell you, all the worms want to make is underground movies. So, thank you very much. I'm so sorry about that.
Macaulay Culkin.
Well, now you look like Macaulay Culkin, right? I was going to say that's a whole different.
But anyway, Leslie on the board with 2 points. We come to our next question, which goes directly to Eva Heinemann in our Today Yesterday quiz. This is also a multiple choice. Eva, are you ready?
Yes, I just want to say all those replies they sound fishy to me.
Well, I'm hooked. 1916 was the year. Okay, January 28th, 1916, following his nomination by President Wilson, Louis Brandeis is appointed to the Supreme Court.
His what? His lamination?
No, Louis Brandeis. Louis was nominated to the Supreme Court on this date back in not laminated, he was nominated.
It sounded like you said laminated. I'm like, what is he, a badge instead of a judge?
But tell me, which of these is false about Louis Brandeis? A, though considered left-wing, while on the Supreme Court, Brandeis consistently voted with the majority to uphold segregation laws. B, the law firm that Brandeis co-founded in 1879 is still in practice. C, while studying law at Harvard, Brandeis earned extra money by reading textbooks to students who were blind or had bad eyesight. Or D, Brandeis and his wife are buried not in a cemetery, but at the entrance to Brandeis Law School at the University of Louisville. One of these is false.
Read the first 2 again.
You bet. So which of these is false among these 4? A, though considered left-wing, while on the Supreme Court, Brandeis consistently voted with a majority to uphold segregation laws. B, the law firm that Brandeis co-founded in 1879 is still in practice. I'll read the other two also. C, while studying law at Harvard, Brandeis earned extra money by reading textbooks to students who are blind or have bad eyesight. Or D, Brandeis and his wife are buried not in a cemetery, but at the entrance to Brandeis Law School at the University of Louisville.
So I'm trying to do math right now. I'm trying to figure out 1879. So if he founded the law school, how old was he? How old was he when he was nominated? Okay, so yeah, that could make sense. Okay. Oh, I know it's probably true, but I hope it's false. I'm going to go with, I hope it's false that he did not vote for segregation, although he probably did because it's so horrendous.
So is that your final answer?
Yeah, please, I hope it's false, but it's probably not.
Well, yeah, Eva, it's a race to the bottom. For all the other good things that he did and the right things that he voted for, he tended to vote with the majority on race. He had a complicated thing on that. So I'm sorry, that is not the correct answer. I was
afraid of that, but I wanted to find out.
I know. All right, I'm going to roll the die and see who has a chance to steal this question. 5-2. Number 2 is again Julian Schlossberg.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, my. Well, I lectured at Brandeis. Does that count?
Not in this game.
I'm impressed.
1 point.
Did you find a cemetery there? Did you find them buried there?
Where's Joyce? Why can't we see Joyce?
Oh, Joyce is invisible. Do you remember Soupy Sales and White Fang?
She's my white fang. Thank you, Leslie.
Remember Soupy Sales and White Fang? You never saw White Fang. We never see Joyce.
Joyce is a lovely lady. She's very pretty, but she doesn't like.
Very pretty.
Oh, I get it. It's like Charlie's Angels. You never see just to hear the voice.
You never see Charlie, right? It's exactly like that.
Okay, all right. Okay, I don't know. I mean, I was hoping we would do show business stuff. That's what
There will be something.
Trivia Pursuits, things like that. But okay, I'm going to go with the fact that his law firm is defunct.
So you're going to say that it's not true that it's still going on today.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I'm afraid you've lost your case, Julian. It's under another name, but there are still Warren and Brandeis is now called Nutter, McClellan, and Fish.
Well, I'm back to the complaint department because it's no longer Brandeis. It doesn't.
Yes, but
Yeah, how did anybody know that without
gone.
Brandeis in the name?
That's
I agree
right.
with him.
That's right. So I'm back in the complaint department at the front of the line. I'm still working on the worms. And now I'm jumping into this.
This man is never going to produce my plays now. It's amazing. All right, I'm going to roll the die. Here we go. Number 2 again. Number 6. Well, oh wait, Leslie.
Well, you have no choice. I'm the only one left. Why? All right, here's the question. I don't know what the Harvard thing is. I don't remember what that is at this point.
Oh, I'll read it. I'll read the 2 remaining.
Well, D is Louisville. The poor man shouldn't have to be buried in Louisville. That's dreadful, but go ahead. Bad enough to live there, but to have to die.
He's not buried at ATL. He's buried at, or he might be buried at the law school there.
ATL is fine. I would have no problem with him being buried at ATL. It's anywhere else. I hated Louisville. I found it to be Louisville is still a segregated city. It's horrible. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, so is that your? What is your?
No. I need to know what the Harvard question was.
The Harvard one is while studying law at Harvard.
Oh, he read to blind people. Okay, he read to blind people. I got it now. I'm going to assume that Louisville is false. I'm just going to say that Louisville is false. I'm going to say he did read to blind people.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Well, I'm afraid you are blind to the truth, all of you. I stumped the panel on this one. What happened was that
It is Louisville.
when Brandeis was studying law, the gas lamps that you needed to read back in the day at night, and they were so terrible that his eyes weren't working, and he paid other people to read text to him. And he still managed to be a valedictorian because he was absolutely brilliant.
Oh.
Yeah.
Isn't there a school like Brandeis of the blind or something? That's why I thought the blind thing was positive, was true, because he's associated with the blind thing, I think.
Well, that's right. He kind of was basically blind back in the day. I don't know if his eyes got better or he was brailing his way through life. But yeah, that was the the true part of it. So, okay, no points in that second question. We move on to question 3, the last question in this round, which goes directly to Leslie, who already has 2 points on the board. So Leslie, this is a quicker one. This is a quicker multiple choice. Okay, are you ready for it?
Sure.
The year was 1929. Born today in Stockholm is sculptor Claes Oldenburg, best known for making giant artworks of ordinary objects. Which of these was not a public art sculpture created by Oldenburg and his wife, Kuzja van Bruggen? A, cross-section of a toothbrush with paste in a cup on a sink. B, bed. C, apple core. D, clothespin.
Huh. You didn't give me the hamburger, so I'm confused. Cross-section of the toothbrush, I believe, is so. The bed, I think, is somebody else. There was somebody won the Tate Prize with a bed strewn with cigarette butts years ago. So I'm going to say the bed is wrong. This is false. Which did he not do?
One of these is not a public art creation by Claes Oldenburg.
Okay. Given the things, I would say that he didn't do a bed. B.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll do this instead because I lost my little climber there. But you are totally awakened, Leslie Hoban Blake, because that is the correct answer. 2 more points to Leslie Hoban Blake. Thank you, dear. Yeah, he did do these others, the cross-section of toothbrush with paste, cup, sink, clothespin, but it was, and those are things in Germany, and clothespin is in Philadelphia. The apple core is in Jerusalem at the Israeli Museum. But bed was a Robert Rauschenberg painting, a mixed media painting from 19.
Oh, okay. But there was also one that won the Tate, which was not Rauschenberg. It was a young woman. I don't remember her name.
Cool. Well, Leslie, you are on top so far with 4 points. Congratulations, but we have a whole other round to play the game here. So we come back to Julian Schlossberg with our next question. Julian, you just look shell-shocked. You're like, what the hell? It's not that bad.
I give up. Leslie wins.
No, I don't want to win that way. I want to win fair and square. If I'm going to win.
Leslie wins. Leslie wins because I look like her friend. I'm easy.
But we play the game anyway.
I literally have to send you the picture. Honest to God, I feel so terrible about saying anything about it, but now that I've done it, I really have to show
go on
you.
phone if you can hold it up to if you find it. But
I'm gonna do that while you're on there. I'm only looking at that. I'm not looking at anything else.
So here's the deal, Joe. This is a different kind of question. This is something that we do called 3 clues in the news, which Leslie and they hate. I love it. What it is I give 3 words, 3 clues. These words are not related to each other, but each of these words you can relate in your mind to the one word that we're looking for. So it could be as easy or simple as word blank or blank word. But the ultimate word that we're looking for has to do with something that's going on in the news. So for an example that is a fake example and isn't anything to do with the news, if I were to give you the words spider, shines, and pox, what word might go with all 3 of those? Like blank spider, spider blank, blank pox, pox blank, shines. What would be a word that might go with all 3 of those clues?
A pox on this question.
This isn't even the real question. This is the fake question.
A pox on the fake one.
Oh, yeah. Well, the word we'd be looking for is monkey, because monkey shines, monkey pox. What was the other things? Spider monkey, monkey. So you get it? So the words don't relate to each other. Each relates to the overall word monkey. Yeah, okay. We're going to try this. So Julian, your actual question is, and remember, the word that we are looking for has something to do with something in the news. The clues are doctor, cares, knows. and I'll spell it Knows.
Thank you.
Worms.
Good try. Good
You're living on a
try.
steady
All right,
diet.
let me- Dave,
Yeah,
hit me again with that.
I will, of course. The clues are doctor, cares, knows. I think Leslie has it, so.
Leslie, you are the winner. I pass right to you.
I'm passing the
wouldn't
answer
know.
to you. Julian, I'm passing the answer to you. You have to get it here. There it is. There's the answer.
So give it a shot. Are you really going to go with worms, or it could be the answer? So remember, it could be blank doctor, or doctor blank, or blank cares, or cares blank. Could be
How about Doolittle?
Doolittle. Doolittle. Final
That's
answer.
all right.
Final answer.
All right. Well, you've done too little to get that one correct. So we're going to roll the die, and let's see who gets a chance to steal. The number 2 is Julian again. 4. Eva. Do you? Because Leslie seems to know it. Do you have?
Oh, I'm going to give it to Leslie. I mean, in fact, I'm very upset.
No, Eva, take a stab at it.
Oh, I'm going to take a stab. I have something in my mind. But Julian, you're ruining my record. I always lose, and I want to keep my record. So you better win at some point, because Leslie always wins. There's a way to do this.
I don't always win.
Eva, I would love you to win. I don't want to win. I just want to go home.
Aren't you home already?
Oh my God.
I am home. Oh my.
All right. Well, because I'm with Julian. I want this to be theater related. So, Broadway doctor, someone who fixes the script. Broadway cares, equity fights aid.
Oh.
And Broadway knows everything because it's the lifeblood of us. So I'm going with Broadway and screw.
Wow, Eva, you're wrong. No, that is not the correct answer. So, Leslie Hoban Blake, I think you know.
I found a picture. I found a picture.
Oh,
Julian,
sure.
This is my friend, much closer to the end. He's about 95 here.
Would you
So
hold it up
he's
a little
more
higher?
heavy set. But can you see the resemblance?
No.
I see resemblance to the woman.
That's me.
Aw,
He's got a beard.
it's
He
an
has a beard.
homage.
He kept his hair until the end. Okay. Anyway, there's a better picture, but that's the one I was able to find. Okay. I believe it's Who, Doctor Who knows, who cares?
Is that your final answer?
Well, that's what I came up with. I mean, you may have come up with something else, but that's what I came up with.
Well, I don't know what's the guy's name on first base, but who is on first for Leslie Hoban Blake? Well done, Doctor. That's how it works. It is who knows, who cares. Doctor Who. Who is the word that we were looking for, spelled differently.
That's what the news.
Well, the news. I fudged it a little bit, but a fellow named Who Can Tran is the guy who shot and killed 11 people at the Lunar New Year.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the World Health Organization. You had to go for the killer. Wow.
Well, I do. I'm a humorist. I go in for the kill all the time. But Leslie, holy crap, you are killing this game with 6 points. Like, yay for you. And this next question goes to Eva Heinemann. Eva?
Ugh. Okay.
It's not 3 clues in the news. It is, however, change one letter, which I think you like a little bit. Leslie likes these a little better.
I like that.
I do. At least it gives you a fighting chance.
It does. You can get this, Eva. I know you can. And I'll get you on the board. Because Leslie has a pretty commanding lead with 6 points so far. But Eva, here's the deal how it works. I'm going to read you a little doggerel poem. And it's going to have 2 answers to it. The first answer is worth 1 point. And then you change just 1 letter of that answer and gives you the second answer for the second point. Okay? And this is about someone who was born today, January 28th.
Give the examples. Give the examples.
Yeah, for Julian, he doesn't know this.
Right. All right. So an example would be, it holds any picture you've got, change 1 letter, and it's hot. So Julian, actually, well, or Eva, I think I've done this one with you, so I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
So you know the. So Julian, want to try this one as a fake example? It holds any picture you got, change 1 letter, and it's hot.
You're asking me?
Yeah.
You got to be kidding. We've proven I can't do this. And none of this. But
This is a whole different kind of a question. This is...
I can't even do the easy example, obviously. And I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
I watch Jeopardy every night, and I'm a killer. So
Really?
I'm wondering what's wrong with these questions, or is it me?
I wrote them. No, that's just
He's sadistic.
I was with you on Jeopardy. I was very sorry that Troy lost last night. That was
me
not
too.
fair.
I love Troy. He was great.
He was really, he was the, I would like him as the face of,
But he's got a couple. But Leslie's got a couple of 100,000. He can build.
I know.
And in Tampa, he can build his music studio that he wants to do.
Okay, all right. And he gets to come back for the championship round, so that's
He'll be
okay.
back. He'll be back.
Did you
I
read
still
the whole
haven't gotten
stink
over
about
Matt.
that guy?
What?
Did
Sorry?
you read the whole stink about that Asian guy, the one who had such a chip on his shoulder, even though he won $80,000 or something?
Oh, he said the questions weren't woke enough or something like that. He was,
Yeah, he said it was fixed and it was bigoted and they didn't like him because I think they didn't like him because he had this chip on his shoulder. He was a nasty little guy. At first I liked him. I thought, wow, he really knows a lot. And then he was saying very rude things even on the show. You don't know the guy I'm talking about.
Yeah, the sad thing about our country is that lawyers have a big control because anyone can sue for anything. In England, it's a much better system because if you lose, you have to pay the law fee of the other person if you lose. They would never let that happen on the ABA here. The American Bar Association doesn't want that because they'd lose half their cases. It's a disgrace that anybody can go in and just sue on anything, as an ex-president proved.
right. But then
And they
again,
suck
well,
people-
yeah. But then you would lose all these people who might have legitimate claims, but they won't. You can't fight City Hall if it's going to cost you $500,000 to fight a legitimate lawsuit, and you lose and you pay.
Against two.
That's not fair either.
Against
you
two.
know.
No, it's not, and that's why the law ads all say you don't owe us anything if you don't win, you don't owe anything. So everybody sues. They use that as the thing to get people in to do it.
I still remember the hot coffee McDonald's. She sued because the coffee was too hot at McDonald's and burned her lap or something stupid. And
I mean, I understand if it was cocoa, but coffee
No,
cannot.
but it says it now. If every cup you get from a fast food or like a coffee shop, it said caution, hot or something.
And this side up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Drink from open side.
Julian, what were you trying to say that we talked over you?
I've been trying to say things for years, Leslie. It's really a shame. No, what I was trying to say was that often if you have a good case and you don't have money, a lawyer will do it on contingency.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, of course.
No, remember when Cher was getting a divorce and the other guy's lawyers were pro bono?
Oh.
He is so quick. On a Saturday morning, my brain is still lying over there.
Anyway, Julian, here's the thing. I want you to get this. So picture a photograph or a painting, right?
Yes.
It holds any picture you've got.
Yeah, it's a frame.
Yes.
Right.
Ooh.
Right. Change one letter and it's hot.
I don't know, fame.
What if you change one letter in the word frame?
Think about
What's
a birthday.
hot?
Think about a birthday. Point to the picture.
My old
Flame.
Ah.
frame.
See, I thought that
Yeah.
you had to change one letter by getting rid of one.
No.
I didn't know you could add.
okay.
Oh no, you switch out.
See,
Switch one out.
that's why I plead guilty with an explanation.
There you
But
go.
they do this on Jeopardy as well. They do this particular one on
Oh, we
Jeopardy
do?
as
Oh, I didn't know
well.
that. Okay. Yeah.
Well, also, most people, when they play the first time, they get 0. So
Oh, when they play this game.
Yeah.
So Julian, do not feel bad
Tell
if
him
you
he
get
can
no
mention
points.
his upcoming projects. And
But are you really in LA?
Me?
Yeah.
Not if I can help it.
Oh, that's what I was saying. Okay. No, I thought David was saying something about what time is it where you
Oh,
are. And I
he
thought,
made a joke about having to get up so early to do this show.
yes, I was going to
Yeah.
say, is it 6 o'clock where you are? That's what I was going to 6 a.m.
No,
Oh, I'm so
it's,
glad you're not in LA.
ten-
I hate it when good New Yorkers leave. It's terrible.
in Australia.
No, I never left, even when I was ostensibly vice president of Paramount Production, I
Right.
still was able to go 3 weeks, 3 weeks New York, 1 week LA.
Imagine if you had Zoom.
That was my
Imagine if you
contract.
had Zoom.
Now, Eva, if I could, I think we're in the middle of your question. Oh, yes, right?
Sorry, Eva.
Somewhere in there, there's a quiz. By the way, you can see, Julian, that it's really not about the quiz. It's about all this other stuff. But here's the deal. So it's Eva.
I've been forgotten.
So, but Eva, you know how the change one letter works. So the year was 1936. Someone who was born today, January 28th, on that day. This is a little poem about them.
Oh, you keep making me do math. 1936.
All right.
So that's like,
You got this, Eva. You got this.
Come on, Eva.
he'd be 90 or she'd be 90. Okay.
To a wartime sitcom, this apple tree actor showed a decade's worth of loyalty.
I
Changed
know the answer. Also, I'm interrupting just for a second, Dave, and then I'll be back. I'm raising my hand. You know why I have to do that. Okay, I'll be back.
Enjoy. To a wartime sitcom, this apple tree actor showed a decade's worth of loyalty. Changed one letter to make an opera of Egyptian royalty.
Oh, this one's easy. It's Alda and Aida.
Good girl.
Is that your final answer?
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep, that's the answer.
I love apple tree. It's one of my favorites.
Dum 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 dum. Well done.
You didn't even have to dumb it down for us. You know,
Yeah,
you
but
did
you
it
mashed
first
it.
time straight, right? I mean,
Yes.
we both got it, and I think Julian had it too, which is sad. Because
You got the first part, yeah. Well, but yay! But Eva, you're on the board with 2 points. Congratulations.
Wait, he was 90 years old?
He's close. He was born in 1936, so he's 80.
He's in his 80s.
87.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my
He's in his
mom,
80s.
same age as my mom, 86.
yeah. So he's getting up there, you know. And he's had he has something he's been dealing with. I don't know if it's Parkinson's.
Does he? I don't know.
Yeah, but he's still in fairly decent shape for ...
Well, he was doing all those science shows for PBS.
When they're dead, please don't talk about
know.
He was doing all those science shows for PBS for a while.
So Leslie, you already have 6 points, but the game, well, yeah, you kind of won the game. But we're going to give you the question anyway to see if you can really knock it out of the park. So by the way, Julian, did you have that one? I'm kind of wondering. Did you guess?
I knew the actor, but then I had to raise my hand.
Of course. Well, here.
Give him the whole question. Let him see. Yeah, go ahead. Give him the whole question.
I'll give him the whole
We'll
clue.
get
So,
this one.
to a wartime sitcom, this apple tree actor showed a decade's worth of loyalty, changed one letter to make an opera of Egyptian royalty.
Alda and Aida.
Yeah, there you go. See?
He's
Don't
a
feel better when you...
two. He
yeah.
should get
Oh, that's because I went to the bathroom.
David,
I looked up.
Oh,
I didn't.
I know you did not. No, but Eva got it right. So the question, she gets the 2 points on that. So the score so far is Leslie with 6, Eva with 2,
Whoa.
with 1 question. So technically Leslie's won the game. Well, but Julian, but Leslie, we're going to do this question anyway, and then Julian, we do have a tiebreaker after that, where you'll just need a pen and a piece of paper to jot something quick down. But Leslie. Here's what kind of
or if
yeah.
if you cannot write because of your
Well,
observing
Eva will
Shabbat,
speak
you can
Yeah.
verbalize it.
But here's your question, Leslie. Guess what?
I hate them. I hate
I was at the 3.
Just killing me. This is why do I do this week after week? All right, it's 3 clues in the news, Leslie, and the clues are.
I got the last one. Don't I get anything for having gotten the last one? Don't I get off and I don't have to do another one? Go ahead.
Heel, pine, feather.
Sorry, was that peel as P-E-E-L?
Heel, H-E.
Heel, okay.
Heel.
Okay. And the last one was feather?
Feather. A word
Feather
that
or
goes
feather?
with the three. Feather.
Feather or feathered?
Feather, but it could be, well, if you put in the past.
Okay,
tense. I can't
okay,
think of more
okay.
clues than that.
What was the second one again?
Pine.
Fine.
Oh, pine. I thought you said kine. I'm like,
No,
it's an
I'm sorry
bird.
about the pronunciation. Yeah.
Pine. Okay. A heel pine and feather.
What word? It could be a blank thing, or it just makes you think of another word, a word that goes with all three, and something that is kind of in the news this week.
Kind of a what?
Kind of in the news this week, or in current events.
I'm just gonna pass. I really don't have anything, and if it doesn't come right away, it just doesn't come.
That's what she said. All right, I'm going to roll the die. Thank you very much.
Oh, if it's a dirty joke, I get it at some point, one way or the other. Go ahead.
Well, wagging his finger, and I hope only his finger, it's Julian, who I just rolled a 2. So, Julian, are you going to try this one? It's heel, pine, feather.
Who?
I thought I was going to say worm for a minute. Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
You got a show to promote. Give the name of your show. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm afraid who, in this particular case, is not the correct one.
No.
Eva?
Nice try, Julian. Nice try.
All I can think of is Spike Heels by Teresa Rebeck,
Okay.
Featherweight, and Pine Cone. And
Well, they've all got to be the
You need
same
one
word.
of those.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe there's a guy named Cone in the news. I don't know. George M. Cone. I'll go with Cone because I don't care.
Oh, it's a grand old question.
I like that one. I like that one, Eva.
So nobody, we've got a blank slate on this one, I'm afraid. All right, I'm gonna, the house wins on this one. The clues were heel, pine, feather. I'll give a clue then, you can jump in if you want. It has to do with an announcement that was made on Tuesday morning of, no?
Oh, movies. Who cares about movies? I don't know anything about
Oh,
movies.
the Oscars.
Julian, who cares about
the
movies?
Oscars.
What about the Oscars?
Sure.
One of the Best Picture nominees.
Tar.
Julian,
Tar.
you got it.
What is it?
Tar.
Tar.
Yeah.
There's a movie named with Kate Blanchett called Tar.
Yeah.
Tar Heel.
Tar Heel, Pine Tar from baseball days.
Tar and Feathers,
Tar and
right.
Feather. There you go. And Tar is nominated for 6 Oscars, including Best Picture and Best Actress.
Oh.
There you go. So you're
That was
getting it,
good.
Julie.
That was a
Come
good
back.
one.
You come back and play the game another time. You're going to win. Probably
I'm
not.
on a roll now.
Yeah, you are.
I'm on a
So
roll.
here's the deal. We have time for our tiebreaker, even though there's no tie. Congratulations to Leslie. You win. But we do the tiebreaker anyway. And here's how we do it. Julian and Leslie, kindly, you will write down your answer rather than speak, because everybody's going to answer at the same time. So you on a little piece of paper with crayon or blood, you can just write the answer down. Eva, because it's Shabbos, you can just say. You don't have to write it out. Okay?
Yep.
All right. So, and this tiebreaker goes to 1945. Right? So I'm going to read the question once. You'll write down. Then I'll read it again. 3, 2, 1. Eva, you'll say it, and you guys will hold up your answers to the camera like so. 1945 was the year. Born today in Basel, Switzerland, is this actress, best known for playing a terrorist in Black Sunday, a love interest in Marathon Man, and a free-spirited dying woman in Bobby Deerfield. Name that actress. So don't say it yet, don't show it yet, don't. I'll give it 3, 2, I'll read again, give it 3, 2, 1. I think Julian, a movie guy, has this. Did you produce either of those 3 films or distribute?
No, they were successful.
Oh.
Actually, Bobby Deerfield was a big flop, I thought.
No, it was. It
Yeah.
was. Marathon Man, actually, I was involved. I distributed it all over the United States for Paramount.
Oh, see, you're going to get this one right, I believe. But
Oh, I definitely have it. There's not a question in my mind, and it's not Aida.
Oh, darn.
So, Eva, do you have an answer in your mind?
Oh, I'm going to guess. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
I'm a theater person, unfortunately. I don't know.
Well, this person has done theater, but not much in it. She did do some Broadway. I'm not going to say anything else.
Oh, then I'm definitely wrong. Okay.
Ooh, all right. Anyway. And Leslie, I think you got it, right? Leslie, you were...
I've got a name. I remember Bobby Deerfield, but you know.
All right. So I'm going to read the question again. 3, 2,
I
1.
could remember it
Shout it
wrong.
out, and then we'll get the answers. Here we go. Born in 1945 on January 28th in Basel, Switzerland, is this actress best known for playing a terrorist in Black Sunday, a love interest in Marathon Man, and a free-spirited dying woman in Bobby Deerfield. Name that actress. 3, 2, 1. Hold that thing up.
Uma Thurman.
Is that, close enough. Well,
She's wrong. Absolutely wrong. I'm right. It's Martha Keller, not Bertha Keller.
Okay,
And
all
I
right.
win, and I
Leslie gets
have enough
1
of this
point.
game because this is
Jeopardy,
outrageous.
I could just say Keller, right? If it were Jeopardy,
if this
I
is
could just
Jeopardy,
say
that's
Keller.
if you had said Bertha Keller, it'd be wrong on Jeopardy because that
That's
would be
right.
wrong.
That's why
Yeah.
they do that. That's why they just do
Yeah.
last name. Listen, I want to show you. He got it. He got the point. I wanted to show you. You asked about my grandparents in vaudeville.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is a poster of theirs.
Oh,
They were called
wow,
Hoban and Kelly.
cool.
yeah.
That's great, Leslie. That's
I'm-
really great.
This is in the library on the Lincoln Center Library.
Oh,
This and about a half a dozen other photos
Yeah.
of their actual act and whatnot.
That's a lovely. That's a
Was
great.
it a ventriloquy act?
I found in 1915. My son went online and found a 1915 poster with their name on it. And they always played the bottom of the bill. They were never stars.
What was the
They,
name? What was
but
Yeah, what was her
they
last name?
played on
Yeah.
Hoban and Kelly. That's where the Hoban in my name comes from. When I was an actress 1,000 years ago, my equity name was Hoban Blake.
Right.
I did
But
that
Hoban
in
was
honor of them because when I joined equity, I just thought I want to be a whole different person, so that's what I did. And there are like 3 human beings in the whole world who know me as Hoban. That's there's nobody left who remembers that name. But and the Kelly was just they bought an act from somebody, just as George Burns used to say, you can buy an act and then you make it your own, whatever. But the name factor was important. So Hoban and Kelly was an important name, evidently. My grandfather told stories, I didn't pay attention, and then he was gone, and I went, oh God, why didn't I listen better?
Yeah.
That was that story. So
Well, anyway, we've had a wonderful time hearing the stories and the fun of these folks. Let me give a couple of creds before I let you guys go. The very patient and very delightful and very funny Julian Schlossberg, our new friend in the neighborhood. So I know you have so many more stories that you could have told, Rabbi Saul. I do invite you absolutely back on the program, so long as you produce the Rabbi Show somewhere.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you nothing against the rabbi who was great, I want you to interview me. If you want me to come back, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Wow. I
Because, I mean, anybody who knows the apple tree,
Oh, well.
And you're
you
also
know,
more handsome than
a
the
lot of people
No.
don't know the great Barbara Harris, one of the great.
I want to be I love
Barbara
you
Harris.
so
No.
much.
Barbara Harris in Nashville broke my heart.
Oh,
Broke
she's
my
great.
heart.
One of the great. A sad thing too, because she was sick. She, mentally had a lot of problems, but
Oh,
was
really?
great talent, and she was brilliant in the apple tree, which I saw with Alan and Larry Blyden.
So did I. I thought too.
Yeah, it was a little before my time, but not that much.
Well, was she depressed or what?
Well, I don't remember the whole. She had
diagnosed.
issues. She had mental.
Yeah. Actually quit the business and moved and started teaching, I think, in Arizona.
Wow.
It doesn't get worse.
Voice artist.
In Arizona.
There's a voice artist called Barbara Harris, and I was hoped that it was that Barbara Harris, and then I found out it wasn't. I hoped that she was still working, but it wasn't her.
Wow.
But let me, because we got, and I do not mean to rush any of you off, but I do have Julie Halston.
We can't stay to watch Julie. Can I stay and say hello to
You
Julie?
can,
before
tell you
we
what,
leave?
Leslie, do either of you want to stick around and say hi to?
Yeah, please say
I
hi
do. I wanna say
because
hi.
she saved me during COVID with her Friday show. So I
Oh,
definitely
for her podcast, yeah. So, and Julian, you're welcome to come or stay for a couple of minutes, or however you want to play this. That's up to you.
What are we doing now?
we're not doing the quiz, thank
Oh,
God.
well, I'm in.
This is over.
Just
Quiz is
tell
going.
them it's a transition to the next.
The
interview.
next segment was
Yeah,
supposed to be Rabbi
transition.
Saul Solomon interviewing Julie. Yes, Julie Halston. I was going to say Julie
Yes.
Harris.
Fine comedian.
Yes, absolutely.
An
Well,
actress.
Well, let me then remind everybody that we've got
Let your guests
Julian
go.
Schlossberg.
Do not abuse your guests.
I'm trying not to. Julian Schlossberg, get his book. He has
Yes.
his memoir out. It's called Don't Hold It Against Me. It's from both.
Try not to hold it against.
Try Not to Hold It Against Me from Beaufort Books, available
That's an
wherever books are sold.
excellent title.
That's it.
Excellent title.
Eva
Excellent.
Heinemann's program is called Hi Drama, H-I exclamation point drama, which you can watch. The episodes are on YouTube. They're also on Manhattan Neighborhood Network cable TV. And Leslie Hoban Blake, are you starting to do new episodes of Two on the Island,
I'm
Charlie?
hoping to get back to the theater in February. Yeah, I just had to cancel everything in January, so I missed a couple of things. I missed Merrily We Roll Along.
Oh,
I
well,
just couldn't do it.
It's coming to Broadway.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
know, that's why I didn't feel so terrible about missing it off Broadway. But I
So-
really wanted to see it.
You know what? I got to bring Rabbi Saul back very quickly into the Daverhood. Yeah, talk amongst yourselves.
Okay,
And
well,
Julie,
you get
you
Rabbi
if you
Saul.
need to go, or whenever you need to go.
I think you should release your guests.
I want
No,
to say
seriously, more than all of you have been more than generous. But give me, I'm going to play some No, talk amongst yourselves.
Where
My
are you?
story
Where are you?
about
gu-
Julie.
Where are you guys?
He's
Where are
going
you?
to become Rabbi Saul.
He's in the next room. I'm getting him out. Rabbi, we need you.
Get Rabbi Saul.
Aye.
He doesn't
Where are
want
you?
to come
Where are
back.
you both? Where are you?
The Palisade.
Eva,
We're in New York. We're at home in New York.
you're both in New York.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in the East Village.
Oh,
And
how
I'm on
nice.
I'm in River Place on 42nd
yeah.
Street.
Yeah. Oh my. Yeah.
But-
I moved out. God, 20 some odd years ago. Oh my God, he's back.
Julian, you moved out of what?
New York City. I'm up in a town called Cortona, New York. Hello, Julie.
Hey, Julie, we wanted to say hi.
Hello, shalom, everybody.
Let Eva tell Julie how she helped her during the pandemic. I think that was a nice.
So, theater critic Eva Heinemann is here on the. But you know what? Let me give it. Hello, shalom to you, shalom, Julie. Welcome back to the Daverhood, to the Dave's Gone By Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the Stream. I'm Rabbi Sal Solomon, and it was lovely to have you on the program. Lovely to have you back, and wasn't expecting this necessarily, but for at least a couple of moments, we have other guests in the Daverhood. Those include producer Julian Schlossberg. We also have theater critic Eva Heinemann, who has a story about you to tell, and Leslie Hoban Blake, who is also a theater critic and former actress. So, first of all, shalom to you, Julie. How are you?
Thank you, darling. And I must say, I love seeing all three of these people and you. I have known these people for a long time, and it is just so nice. I feel like I'm just, I just feeling a real sort of, I don't know, a warmth.
Belling, you're belling inside.
Yes, I'm cavelling. Anyway, nice to see everyone. And thank you, Eva, for bringing up during the pandemic. I had a wonderful show, actually, that Jim Caruso from Birdland made me do. He kept saying, you need to do something. You need to do something. During the pandemic, I thought, like many people, it was going to last like 3 weeks. And I was like, I'll sit, I'll have some chocolate, I'll drink a glass of wine, and it'll be
Put on
over.
your eyelashes.
Yeah, I know. And he said, let's do this virtual show. And it was a show called Virtual Halston. We did 41 episodes. It's still on YouTube. And I got to speak to the greatest people in the world. Bill Irwin, Nathan Lane, Paul Rudnick, Santino Fontana, Mary Lou Hanna, Mary Testa. I mean, it was so fantastic. We were all in our homes, and Jim and I also put graphics together. We worked with a young woman named Ruby Lochnar, who at the time wasn't even of legal age. She was 20 years old. She's beautiful. She's very talented. It was annoying, but no, she's marvelous, and she's also a very talented singer. And we just had a blast. And it really, Eva and Julian and Leslie, I still get text messages and from people all across the country saying it really got us through a very difficult time. So I'm very grateful, very, very grateful. And I was able to raise money for the charity that I'm involved with, Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation. So.
Which is also terribly. Now, I asked earlier when I was talking to Julian Schlossberg, because he was on the radio for a very long time on WMCA and WOR, interviewing famous people just as you had been. So I asked him what are some of the best and worst interviews that he had as subjects. So during what did you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite story from the show? Tell me.
Well, I have to tell you, I mean, one of the most erudite and witty human beings on the planet is
Me.
Paul Rudnick. And you, second only to you, is Paul Rudnick. And literally, his tweets about Ivanka Trump alone could be, a play.
The captions of the pictures, they were amazing.
He's just hilarious. So gems would just spill out of his mouth. But I've never really had a bad interview, but I think one of the more fascinating interviews was Mary Lou Henna, because, she has that wild photographic kind of memory where she can remember things. I think only 60 people in the United States have it, so that you can give her a date and she can say like I was born 1968. I don't know, March 11th, and she can tell you what was going on in her life. What she would say, oh, that's a Tuesday, and you would remember, you know what I mean? She has this incredible facility, and we had people, say dates, and she told them what was going on in the world at that time. And I mean, decades and decades later. Plus, she talked a lot about her childhood. Her parents ran a dance studio in their garage and their backyard. And she also her mom had a hair salon in the kitchen. I mean, it was fantastic.
And how many people died when they first realized you should open the door of the garage while the car's running? A lot of dancers were lost in a very terrible way before they probably should open the door of this thing. But let me ask you also, so that was sort of her special skill. We know you're very funny. We know you can sing, actually. You discovered that one producer was finally putting you in Broadway musicals. So yeah, you can do a Broadway, you can do this. So, but is there a weird, unusual skill that you have that a lot of people might not?
Oh, well, I can be very obnoxious. That's an unusual.
I have that.
No. Is there something that people might not know about me? Well, actually, there's a couple of things that people don't know, and sometimes they're a little surprised. I happen to be an enormous Yankees fan, and I'm a sports person. I love the Nets. I love watching sports. My dad was kind of a semi-pro golfer, and he always had sports on in the house. So I actually I like sports. And at one time in my life, and I should get back to it, I was a rather good baker.
Oh my goodness, I did.
Yes, I was a rather good baker. I made some very delicious cakes. I haven't done it in a while. Cooking, don't ask. Grubhub. But
I can give you all the flour you need, because Julie, I decided to bake bread at the beginning of the pandemic.
Okay.
And I baked 2 perfect loaves of sourdough bread, and then I stopped. But I have 12 pounds of flour in my cupboard, because I bought all the flour I could find, because everybody said there wouldn't be any more flour. So I hoarded flour. So if you're really going to bake, listen, I need to go. I just wanted to say my little piece about Julie. When I interviewed you, you had just met Ralph. And the joke was, I got to interview Julie, she got to meet Ralph. That was the joke. I mean, we had dinner downtown, I think.
I do remember it very well, Leslie, and you were so dear. And my tagline was, because Ralph worked for 1010 Wins, is that he gave me 22 minutes and then I gave him the world. So and also reverse, I gave him 22 minutes and he gave me the world. But Leslie was such you were so supportive of us. And, the fact that I had 27 glorious years with that wonderful man.
You were so fortunate. You really were.
I know. I'm very grateful and very blessed.
And so was he.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm gonna go. It was lovely. It
yeah,
was lovely
blessed.
saying hi.
To have
Julian,
Leslie.
lovely to meet you.
Yeah.
Julian, lovely to meet you.
So-
I don't know how to get off. I don't have to get off thing.
I'll let you, but Leslie, it's a
Okay.
wonderful to have you in the Daverhood. Good health to you. Good to have
Thank
a
you. It's
wonderful day
lovely
out
to be
again
back.
after all these
It's
times.
lovely to be back.
Yeah.
Next time I'll fix my hair. I just couldn't do it this morning.
You look fantastic. Check up with
Leslie,
you.
you look great, Leslie. You look
Julie,
great.
you look gorgeous, by the way.
Yeah, by the way,
you did
yes.
a show at Birdland.
Lighting,
You have a new show-
lighting.
You have a new show at Birdland, right?
Yes, I'm doing my show at Birdland on Monday, so, you know, there's a few tickets left and there are some bar seats left, so 7 o'clock
And it's
Birdland.
also streaming. You can watch this from home if you want.
Yes,
I
yes.
live around the corner, but I'm not ready to go back yet. I've been quite ill, so I will do the streaming one.
Do
but
the stream.
I'm
You'll
really
enjoy.
happy to see you.
You'll enjoy.
Okay.
Shalom,
I'm
Leslie.
going.
Have
Bye,
a
guys.
wonderful week. Thank you for.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So, but do tell us a little bit more about your current cabaret show. It's called Back by Popular Demand, and it is happening this Monday night, January 30th at Birdland, which is over on 44th Street and 8th Avenue in Midtown. So is this about your life in pandemic, post-pandemic? What's in the show?
Well, yes. First of all, you're so good, Dave. I mean, Dave's gone by. It's so good to do all these things. The show is actually called Declassified, and because nothing is off limits. It's about life during the pandemic and now my life after the lockdown, because a lot of things have happened. One of which is that I am dating again. Oh my God. And I went on social media. Okay, Cupid. I'm telling you, there's a lot of material here. So,
All right, I'm going to stop you there because I want to know, how is dating at this stage of the life? You're an actress, but you're surrounded by actors, but most of them are gay. So where do you find the guys that you need? I'm just saying.
well, here's the thing. It was really through my girlfriends who kept saying to me, Julie, you should do this. You should do this. So I finally said, oh, I know what I'll do. Just for fun, I'll go out with my gay male friends. We'll go to like the St. Regis. I'll have a Cosmo and maybe I'll meet some guy. Well, my girlfriends were like, are you out of your mind? First of all, the hotels are closed. Second of all, Cosmos, nobody drinks them anymore. That's like the 90s. And you don't need your gay male friends as wingmen. That's just crazy. So why don't you go on social media? Well, I wanted to just throw up the minute I heard that. I had not been with another person in 29 years. The idea of going on social media was horrifying. A very smart woman said to me, don't think of it as a place to fall in love or whatever. Think of it as your next one-woman show.
Brilliant.
Oh, smart. Because then it empowered me, because I thought, okay, I'm not going to worry about falling in love or anything. And there's a lot of power in swiping left. I found that out. It was like, oh, you're a loser. Yeah. Oh, who told you you were attractive? What? Are you kidding? Swipe left, swipe left. And then I met this guy who actually said, oh, Julie Halston, I'm a big fan of yours. I just wrote back to him. I said, thank you. You're gay. Because you're a big fan of Julie Halston's.
Yeah, probably. No, you're kidding. But all right. But was he not? Was he or no?
No, this guy that I'm seeing, he didn't know who I was. He is a history professor. He has lived all over the world. I just kept going back to his profile, and finally we message, you message. There's a lot of messaging. Then there's phone calls, and then there's meeting for coffee, and then there's more coffee. There's a lot of coffee involved. And finally he invited me to his house in Brooklyn.
A house in Brooklyn? Yeah.
Not a house. He lives in a brownstone.
All right, still, yeah.
I'm a Manhattanite. I lived in Brooklyn in 1877. It didn't go well in those days.
Yeah.
It didn't go well. All my happiness has been derived in Manhattan. So I was just like, oh. Anyway, I tell a story in my act about the Uber driver who got me to this date. And I kept saying to my friends, look, I'm going to give you this man's number, his address, and if I am not home by 9:30, I want you to call the police. And all I kept thinking to myself, I kept seeing a New York Post headline, right? Like deadly hookup, okay, stupid. I was terrified. And there I was in the back seat of this Uber, and I'm going like, this meal better be good because I have a feeling he's going to chop my head off. And, you know, I mean, he's very handsome and charming, but as I say in my act, well, so was Ted Bundy.
Yeah, true. So did it?
But it worked out.
Oh, it's good. Mazel. So are you exclusive dating? Are you just seeing? Oh, my Mazel.
That way, yeah, I'm exclusive. Yeah.
And it's none of my business, but I'm going to ask: are you stooping again? This is good.
No. It doesn't die.
It
Doesn't die.
Jewish sex is main.
That's
That's all it is, really. But yes.
No, but this is the thing that's so lovely and wonderful about life is that, you know, yearning and longing and connection and love and physical, emotional, whatever, it's all still there for us. It's all still there for us. Changes a little. I mean, certain positions not going to happen.
Okay.
Just going to say it.
Good to know.
Not going to happen. My knees.
Sazerac swings are coming down.
Yeah, the knees. Wait, the knee. Wait. But
no
really,
longer the flying Walenders.
Everyone.
No, the flying Walenders are definitely out there.
Right. I urge everyone who is, you know, thinking about this or lonely and looking for love, you know, it happens when you want it, but you got to go out. You got to go outside yourself. You can't just go like, well, I'm sitting here. Why isn't anyone? Where is everyone? You have to go out in the world. And, but it's been difficult because we were in a terrible lockdown situation.
Of course.
You know?
And also you were still getting over the loss of a soulmate, a legitimate, actual, not just a guy you happen to be married to, but
a soulmate. And, you know, it's been 4.5 years. And what I've also come to understand is, and it is hard. I got to say, I'm still navigating. Instead of saying, oh, it's getting further and further away, he's here. He's in me. He'll always be part of, he's baked into my DNA. He's baked into my DNA in a way, you know, and that life is, and that never goes away. Never. And if you have a partner, a new partner, they better understand that. And I can tell you, they do.
Saul and Julie and Eva, I am going to bail out. I had my time, Julie. It's your turn now. I loved you in Tootsie. You were just terrific. And
we just had a Tootsie reunion, Julian.
Oh, yeah.
We just had a Tootsie reunion, and it was so fantastic. That was a wonderful show.
It was very funny show.
Very funny. Robert Horn did an incredible job.
You did.
Yeah.
So thank you, everybody. Shalom and God bless. And buy my book.
Thanks so much to Julian Schlossberg. Let's remind people that you can get his memoir, Try Not to Hold It Against Me, from Beaufort Books. It's available in just 2 more days. You can pre-order it. Get it now, for God's sakes. And also go to JulianSchlossbergProducer.com for more about this really delightful man. Please do come back to the Dave. Even if you don't want to talk to me, I don't blame you for not wanting to. But if you want to talk to Dave or something.
I would love to talk to you, but I want to get Dave on that spot. I want to get him on the spot since he gave me questions that were absurd. Anyhow, goodbye.
You have to go. Bye-bye. Shalom to you, and good health, and many, many more good things. And best of luck with in New Jersey with the play that you're with Steve Guttenberg. Best of luck.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Oh, that's fabulous. I want to hear more about that. Well, all right. I'm going to look I'll look it up, Julian.
Okay, I'm not going to take your time. Bye-bye.
That's all right.
Bye-bye. Julian Schlossberg in the neighborhood.
Let me go now too. I mean, I was looking for, you know, because I mean, you're supposed to talk to Julie. I just wanted to say again, thank you for those Friday night virtual Halstons, and also in our chat we met such lovely people. I'm glad Ruby's doing so well, and I'm going to stream you for Birdland, and I'm like so excited to see you, and I hope you're still getting those wispy eyelashes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I've got them. Oh, honey, I've got them. Eva, I'm always happy to see you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Eva, good Shabbos to you, and thank you, of course, for being in the Daverhood with us once again. Love you, mwah, and have a wonderful. Oh, she looked good. So, Julie, we have a few more minutes with you. I mean, it's so fantastic to see you too. So, we're here with Julie Halston, whom you can see in person this Monday night at Birdland. It's back by popular demand. And by the way, if you go to birdlandjazz.com, you can buy, I mean, the tickets are basically sold out, but they can probably still squeeze a couple of people in.
They do. They have a few left, and they're good. So you can get in. You can.
Yeah, you're not going to be staring through the roof, through the chimney to look at her down, the top of her head. Or you can actually buy cheaper tickets and watch from home, like you're watching her now singing. And are you doing music in there too, or is it just?
No, it's all comedy. It's all anecdotal and stories and whatnot. But yeah, when I do musicals, then I can sing and dance. But when I do my act, it's all fun stuff and stories about my life.
Is there a story that you were going to put in the show, but for time considerations didn't fit? But
well, yes, actually, I did the show in October, and it was a huge sellout, which is why I'm doing it again January 3rd, because a lot of people could not get in. So Jim Caruso said, let's do another round. And this one is selling out now too, which is great. I told a story in that one in October about my sister, but I'm now substituting for this show some selections from Joan Crawford's book, My Way of Life, because we all know Joan Crawford is my Bible, because Joan has a lot of guidelines for how one should live one's life. So I'm substituting certain stories for others, but for the most part, it's life during the pandemic and life post-pandemic.
Well, tell us a story though about your sister then.
Well, my sister Mary, who lives in Virginia, is an American Revolutionary War reenactor. I will repeat that.
Yeah.
She is an American Revolutionary War reenactor. She's very involved with this. She won the Molly Pitcher Award. I don't know what that is, but she won it. She apparently is in charge of the canon. Again, So what happened was a number of years ago, there was an article in the New York Times about war reenactors, and one of the war reenactors stood too close to one of the cannons and in fact died.
Well, he didn't just go deaf. He literally just really too close to the cannon.
Too close.
Yeah.
So I called my sister Mary and I said, Mary, I just read this article in the New York Times about a war reenactor and he died and I'm very concerned for you. She said, oh, was that a Civil War reenactor? I said, yes, it was. She says, oh, those people are crazy.
And by the way, they discovered later that the person actually manning the cannon was Alec Baldwin. So there's things to be.
But I mean, really, it's a whole thing, particularly in more of the southern states. I know Stephen Colbert has talked about his family was involved when he was growing up with reenactments, and
I don't understand.
Well,
not like I make a Holocaust camp.
Well, I was going to say,
yeah.
Darling, you're a rabbi. What, I mean, come on.
Yeah, no, but I'm not going to put together, up in Muncie, New York and say, oh, let's build a mini Auschwitz and recreate it. We'll get the ovens going, except at the end, you really do use the ovens for food. I was like, no, why would I do this? Why would anyone?
No, why would you? But, they do it in front of a lot of school kids, so they learn history, American history and whatnot. But it's just, listen, my idea of reenactment is like the 1960s and I'm going to wear wigs and, mini skirts and whatnot. That's my idea of a reenactment, a Beatles concert. Yeah. That's my idea of a reenactment.
If I dress up as Mordecai on Purim, that's
right.
There you go. Yeah. And I can be kind of free with the costuming too, so that's
Now,
very.
where do you live, actually?
Well, I am. My temple is in Great Neck, New York, which is a hell of a commute because we're currently in Maryland here, where Dave and his lovely wife live. But
Okay.
yeah, so we're not that far from Virginia. I can be a reenactor of a Civil War Hasidic chaplain.
Yeah, you could, darling. I mean, Manassas is not that far and whatnot, but and Great Neck. I actually lived in Great Neck for one summer before sophomore year of college, and Great Neck's a lovely community. Really.
Oh, it absolutely. Well, until I moved in, and then later the housing.
All hell broke loose.
It did.
All hell broke loose.
Yeah.
Oh.
Talking, by the way, with Julie Halston, who, in the pandemic, one of the other things that you did was you apparently made a movie. Pardon for the throat thing. Tell us about a film called Simches and Sorrows. You must.
It's a beautiful film. Simches and Sorrows was written and acted in, she's also the star, Genevieve Adams. In fact, I just had coffee with Genevieve. It's a beautiful story based on her life. A Christian girl who marries a Jewish guy,
Yeah.
and how they navigate their lives together. And, you know, people today might go like, oh, well, that happens all the time now. You know, well, why is this the subject of a film? You know, there's a lot of interfaith marriages now, but you know, it does impact how are you going to raise your children?
Oh, absolutely.
How are you, you know, what do you really believe and what do you not really believe? What are you taking with you culturally? What are you taking with you culturally?
Here's the
How does-
shtickle. Do we cut here? Do we leave it? Do we leave the thing? No, I mean, it's a big question.
It's a big question. And how does it impact the parents, particularly parents who might have had parents who actually were in the Holocaust? There's all sorts of big questions. And she made this delightful film about not only navigating the interfaith situation, but you know, how we are trying to do this while we're also trying to be creative people, good people. You know, it's these are the big questions that don't go away just because it's 2023. So we made the film, and you know, we all wore the masks.
Oh, yeah.
We all had to be socially distant. We didn't really eat together closely. We had to really go by the guidelines. And then when we were on the set, we could take our masks off, but we were very good about all this stuff. And all the makeup artists and hair, everyone was masked. So, and no one got sick.
Oh. Have you gotten COVID, by the way? Have you, in the past 3 years, did you get it? Or you?
I had it once.
Yeah.
It was very mild. I'm a vax boosted, it was mild. I was very congested for about 5 days, and then it did go away. I haven't had a repeat, but you know, I know people who have had it 2-3 times, and then I know a dear friend of mine who is, you know, not young, has never had it. So
it's a crapshoot, which is
it is. Have you had it?
Well, apparently I have constant brain fog, which explains a lot. No, but I'm kidding. But let me ask you also, since we're speaking of health, it's been a rather interesting year or past few months for people that you were probably quite close to. First of all, we almost lost, did not lose, but almost lost Charles Bush.
Yes.
The person who gave you, in some ways, your start.
My career. He gave me my career.
There you go. Yeah, he's I'm sure you're more in touch than we are. He's been on the show, but how's he doing? We had the heart tell.
Darling, he's doing great. He had a heart surgery. He had to have his mitral valve repaired. You know, it's not a small thing, you know. It's not a little cut. And it's a big cut. And he is doing really, really well. He's really out and about. So thank God. We did lose the primary stages artistic director, Andrew Lindsay,
Yeah.
to sepsis. And I got to tell you, we're all still in terrible, terrible shock. I just lost one of my dearest college friends, Gordon, to pulmonary fibrosis, the disease that took my late husband.
Right.
So, I mean, and these are not old people. Andrew was in his 50s. Gordon was in his 60s. I mean, these are not.
Don't tell that to Republicans, or they're going to blame the shots. So sure, make
No, I know, please. We
Yeah.
can't even go there.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a very hard time. And I have to say, it has gotten me a little upset and looking back and a little, there's quite a bit of sadness with that.
And we
But
just also, not to leave out someone, but Everett Quinton of the ridiculous theatrical company.
I just read the New York Times obit, and when Everett passed away a number of nights ago, I wrote to a dear friend of his and I said, the New York Times better do an obit about Everett because he was so important to the theater scene and he was such a dear man. He was at my wedding to Ralph. And for the first couple of days after his passing, I didn't see an obit. I was ready to call the New York Times. It is in today, and it's a wonderful obit. And he was such a dear, dear, dear guy. And it was Charles Ludlam, Charles Bush, Everett Quinton, Murray Hill, Lip Synca. We were all part of that incredible scene in the 1980s, late 70s, 80s. And these people like Charles Ludlam and Everett had tremendous influence on all of us.
Now, do you have a couple more minutes that we can spend with you before, because as we're coming up on the half hour, but I do want to, since we're talking about those days, and even modern days when you're doing Broadway shows and cabaret things, but you said in an interview that you are terrible very often in rehearsals. Terrible. Is it why?
I don't really know why. I think it takes me a long time, dare I use this word, because I'm not a method actress, but to process everything, the words, the actions, the props, but here's where I'm a little bit more like, I think, the Brits. The minute I find the hat or the coat or the dress or the shoes, it has such an impact on me. And it allows me to find the character. But, those elements don't come in until later on in the rehearsal process. So I'm always one of those people who likes to put the shoes on pretty quickly because it helps me figure out the way I'm going to walk and whatnot. No, I'm terrible in rehearsal. But also remember, I'm used to doing comedy, and comedy is completed when the audience is there. So when I don't have an audience, I'm like, oh.
Is it how you get through that when you're rehearsing comedy or when you're working on your acting stuff and you have a line and you're being funny, it's funny, and it's just dead silence because A, there's no real audience there, or B, these people who laughed around the table in rehearsals have now heard that line 80 times. And you're like, does something sink in you, or I just have to wait till the audience gets here?
No, something sinks in me. I will tell you that. And I've talked to other actors about this. We sink. We do sink. And we sink to the bottom, let me tell you. But then the first preview happens and you hear the laughter. So suddenly from the bottom of the ocean, you are now above the waves. But I was very lucky because my late husband, Ralph Howard, was a very good editor and he was a good audience member. And he used to go through my act with me sometimes. And it wasn't even like he would laugh, frequently he would just say like, oh, that's funny, kind of like other comics who go to see other comics. But he'd always say to me, extend that line a little bit. Or he'd say, Julie, that's a funny line. Now look at the audience. And give a little take to the audience. He was the one who came up with all these little things. I learned so much from Ralph. He was not only my husband, he was really like my mentor. So it was really helpful to me because yeah, I'm doing it in the living room. My poor neighbors, believe me, at this point, they're like, she ain't funny. We've heard this a million times. But he was such a good editor.
Now, can I ask? I know that you're doing the show at Birdland on Monday night. It's called Back by Popular Demand, and people can get tickets. They can still squeeze you in. There's a few more places for physical humans to be on Street and 8th Avenue at Birdland. And also you can buy tickets to live stream the show from Birdland on Monday night. Just go to birdlandjazz.com for that. But what's next? What's on your calendar for the next 3 to 6 months?
Well, I'm happy to say that, and I think I can say this because I actually put it on my Instagram. I filmed a number of episodes of And Just Like That, which is the Sex and the City reboot. So my character of Bitsy Von Muffling has come back. So I'm happy to report that when the show is on again, you will be seeing Bitsy Von Muffling. So I'm very happy to report that. And I'm not really sure yet, but I'm working on a reading of another play. So I can't really talk about it yet, but I'm doing a few readings on some new projects. I love being on television. I love doing films. And yet I'm also hopeful that the theater, and I think slowly but surely the theater is starting to come back. And it's been a rough 3 years, but
because Broadway is one thing where the big shows are making tons of money, but anything that's Littler and all the off Broadway must have been having a very, very difficult,
very tough time, and a lot of theater companies closed. They closed, and that was terrible. So I'm praying and hoping that once again people will come out, and I think it's starting, but it's just starting. So I'm hoping within this year to next year we see a real rebound, because let's face it, it not only affected the theaters, it affected bars, restaurants, everything around those theaters. But I'm going to go there and be optimistic.
Well,
be optimistic.
Great way, but how could you not be optimistic looking at the punim of Julie, that means face, by the way, punim of Julie Halston, who's, as we said, going to be Back by Popular Demand this Monday night. I'm going to ask you one more question, and I know it's time to let you go, but see you at Birdland on Monday evening. Please, birdlandjazz.com for tickets. So tell us, because Dave saw you a couple of times in Tootsie when it was a very, very, as we say, a very funny show. Do you have a Tootsie story, something funny that happened on stage, something, some great person that came backstage and told us? Tell us a Tootsie.
I can tell you something. We had someone come in. I don't know how they got past security. It was this person who just wandered into the theater and literally made themselves went up to the hair and makeup department, sat down in one of the chairs and said, "I want to be Tootsie." There's someone from the street just came in. Well, the poor hair and makeup people didn't know what to do. I had to go on and
this was during, I thought maybe.
This was during the show.
The
show. And he insisted that he wanted to be made up like Tootsie. They didn't know what to do. Well, I played the very tough, hard-bitten producer, Rita Marshall. They saw me because I had a little time off before my next appearance in the show. They said, "Julie, there's a stranger in the hair and makeup department, and they want to be Tootsie, and we don't know what to do. We don't know who they are. They seem to be kind of mad." I walked in there and I pretended to be, Rita Marshall. And I said, "Who are you? I am the producer of Tootsie. I am Rita Marshall, and you have to leave immediately." They were so scared by Rita Marshall. And I said, "I will be escorting you out the building." And I just became Rita Marshall, and I escorted them out the building, and we called security, and this was all during the show.
And by the way, that it turned out to be it was Dustin Hoffman. So who
Well,
knew?
there you go. Done.
It's hard to recognize these days, but
I bet he's a little older, I would imagine.
At least it wasn't Murray Schiskal. That would have been really good. But anyway, we've been delightfully chatting with Julie Halston. Much luck, much health, much success. Do you ever say, last question. Let's say things go really continue to go well with this nice little history professor. Do you ever see the M word again, or no need to even consider something like that?
I'm not there yet. Considerations are always there. You never say never. Never say never.
This is good. Well, no, you're never going to get a bris. I mean, this is not going to happen. You're not going to get yourself a bris under any circumstances. Even if you're taken to Africa into a tribe where they do that sort of thing, it's not going to happen. But no, I see. Never say.
But love is love. So there we have it.
Well, we love you.
All I'm going to say.
We love Julie Halston in the Daverhood. See her Monday night at Birdland. Shalom to you. Thank you so much. And
Shalom, darling. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too. Shalom to you. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Julie Halston in the Daverhood. Oh, how delightful. Oh, how wonderful. I am Rabbi Sal Solomon, the founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And we still have some more show for you. More of the Daves gone by. Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream featuring Dave. So we're going to bring him back. We're going to leave me go. I'm going to play some music again. Oh, it's so fun for me to be here twice. I should just take over the show. The hell with Dave. This should be the Rabbi Sal show. That would make this a program. But for now, we'll bring back Dave. The one, the only, the Jewish Rabbi Sal Solomon. God, what a great show, huh? Gotta thank these wonderful people who've been on the program. Julian Schlossberg. Please buy him. I'm going to read his book. It's JulianSchlossbergProducer.com is the website, and it's SCHLOSSBERG. JulianSchlossbergProducer.com, or just go on Amazon or Kindle or wherever you buy books to get Try Not to Hold It Against Me. My only regret is that we didn't have even more time with him alone just to tell more stories, but I'll bet there's a ton of them in the book. Read it from Beaufort, Beaufort, Beaufort Books, and it's coming out on January 31st. So, just a couple of days from now, you can already pre-order it and get it for yourselves. Thank you also to Julie Halston, of course, and as I said, at birdlandchaz.com.
How many people are with you right now?
It's just
Lord,
me.
David, it was like on a school, there's a picture of a school bus in Alaska where they have pets getting on the bus, and you see all the little pets waiting, and then the bus opens and someone else gets on, and then the bus drives and someone else. I was in the other room. It sounded like you had about 17 people with you.
No, and actually, Joyce and I have been watching a lot of a show on BritBox TV called Untitled with Alan Davis.
Yeah.
And Alan Davis is this English comedian and host and performer and actor. What was the show that he Jonathan Creek. He was a star of Jonathan Creek. So he has, and it's a great idea. It's a chat show. He has 4 comedians and actor type people, funny actors and comedians.
Sesame Street founder died, 93.
Who was he?
Lloyd Morissette.
Oh wow. But it's 4 people around the table with Alan Davis, just telling, he has a couple of pre-questions he'll ask them about stories that they have to tell, because it's all about telling stories. So he'll say, wasn't it true that you did this, and wasn't it true? And then they'll just go around and jump on each other and sometimes give each other a chance to talk, and sometimes it's cross-talk and squabble, but it's fun. It's a very enjoyable show.
Lively, yes, your show.
And so we weren't expecting to have like 5 people in the
I
room.
didn't realize that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it worked out. It worked out beautifully. And
And isn't it funny how, like somebody said to me, Baltimore is called Smaltimore because it's small. And I said like 6 degrees of separation, But apparently it's the same thing on your show. It's like 1 degree of separation.
everybody knows everybody else, right?
It's 0 degrees.
Yeah. Well, if you're in New York
Yeah.
theater world, you're gonna know, these people on some basic level, which is kind of cool.
You'll see their show. You'll listen to their concert. You'll sit in the audience with them.
Yeah.
Right? Is that the?
I mean, the people know people know people. It's, if I were doing the show out in Los Angeles for the past 20 years, and I interviewed a billion people in the film
Yeah.
business instead of the theater business, it would be, it would be that instead, But that, by the way, is my wonderful wife, Joyce. Hello, Joyce.
Sure.
We'll not get on camera, but you're looking good,
I
babe.
would like you to put your thing out on my.
I know, but I can't keep going up and down. Here, if you'll take
I'll
it from
get
me.
you a coaster.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
So, anywho, why don't we do the Friends of the Daverhood, and then we'll have some couple of Greeley crimes and old times. And we even do have our Colorado Limerick of the Damned this week. So it's a classic episode, just really full of people and very, very lively. How delightful. So now Julian Schlossberg is a friend of the Daverhood.
He
Julie
wants to come back
Halston.
just to talk to David.
I know, isn't that nice?
Yeah.
I wish he'd come back to produce Rabbi Saul's show, but who knows? Who knows?
Don't be so negative.
I wanted to tell him if we had the time that
You work cheap.
I'll work. I'll pay if he'll produce my goddamn show. You produce it, I'll funnel the money to you.
Well, Leslie almost killed him. I mean, Leslie, you look like my dead friend. It's
I know.
not like.
Yeah, she
that
could
would
have put
be
that
like
differently.
My welcome line. But
He looked nothing like
no,
the man.
but sometimes like I've seen people like some lady that I worked with in a
Yeah.
low-income housing place. She looked exactly like my Aunt Helen.
Oh, well, yeah, that
And it would
happens.
freak me out. I was like, so I understand Leslie because I've seen that and looked at her and been like, whoa. Except for the hazel eyes, she was my Aunt Helen. I was like, whoa.
No, I guarantee probably when she sees that other guy,
Yeah,
saw
it's just
him.
you can't, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh my God, you can't believe that. You can't believe that there's somebody so close to.
But to say you look like my dead
I
friend,
know, you
at what
should say you
point?
look like not old,
Before
a
he-
friend of mine.
Yeah,
Yes, you
yeah.
remind me of a friend. Yeah.
Oh.
You
But
know,
no, I
that
wanted to
with
tell
the-
him
the
that's-
Iron Lung gone away with the friend. Yeah.
But I have a Steve Guttenberg story.
What?
Of all people, I've got a Steve Guttenberg
Yeah,
story.
What you want to?
He was my first major interview when I was writing for Show Business, not
You
backstage,
said he was nice, right?
Show Business Magazine. We met at
Yeah.
Sardi's because he was appearing on Broadway in Prelude to a Kiss.
Ooh.
And so I got to interview, he was doing publicity, and I got to interview him, and he was very nice. And I went to Sardi's, and I still have it, I think,
What?
this tape recorder thing. And it's a tape recorder, with actual,
Oh, but
this is before the little micro cassette. It was a cassette.
Yeah.
It was a cassette
Uh-oh, what
tape
happened?
recorder with also, it was a really cool thing because it had a radio and a little antenna so you could get FM on it,
Oh.
portable. And it was this lifesaver for me who wanted to be a journalist and writer and was doing all these things because I could bring a cassette and go and record.
Yeah.
So I bring it and we sit at Sardi's and we have this very lovely, very nice conversation for about half an hour. And I interview him and I make some notes, but I've got the thing
It
going.
didn't tape.
I get home.
Yeah.
I put the thing on, and I realized that I had the button flipped to radio.
Oh no! Which I'm like da 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 da.
So the entire half hour was taken up with whatever was on the AM radio.
10 wins.
And now I'm screwed. Now because I've got to publish it. They're expecting a front page story
Oh jeez.
from Show Business Magazine on Steve Guttenberg,
Oh no.
who's
Was it a
appearing
good
on this
interview?
Broadway
Was it
show.
a good interview?
And it was very nice. It wasn't the most wonderful, but he was open. He answered the questions. He was very polite. It wasn't great, but he was very nice. It was very good. And so I what do I do?
What do you do?
Well, I mean, realizing that that night, I'm like, okay, here's the deal. I make a couple of notes. I remember what I asked him.
Yeah.
So as I was kind of like, okay, let me just
Trying
piece
to
together from
figure it out.
memory,
Put it together.
and then put a lot of things some things in quotes, even though they're not really direct anymore, and not make up what he said,
try
but
to fill it in.
reconstitute.
Yeah.
And I think, if you want to read it, you can actually read my Steve Guttenberg interview. It's at
Did he say
davelefkowitz.org. Nothing, there was no, he didn't tell,
No, I mean, did
Cool
he say
stories.
anything afterward? Like
no, I got no bad,
Oh,
And it was a very flattering story because, you know,
Because you had nothing to write about.
No.
Because you had no notes.
half the story was his background. Half the story was, well, he did this show. He'd done theater before. Or, you know, and everybody remembers him from Police Academy and so forth. So I filled as best I could fill. And then I didn't make up anything whole cloth.
Oh, yeah.
But certain things that weren't actual
channel,
direct
you
quotes.
channel,
yeah. So that was my first experience of like, be careful with your taping
Yeah, but I'll
device.
tell you, even when I did some research, and the research assistant and I, we used 2 tape recorders, digital tape recorders, and you know, sometimes they fail both of them. So
No
I
shit.
always
Yeah.
say, like, you just can't avoid it. Even if you use your phone, a tape recorder, overhead mic,
Yep.
and Zoom, you're gonna miss something.
You can't try. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
you've seen times when I used to bring those little micro cassette
Yeah,
recorders,
yeah.
and like, boom, dead or full.
Yes,
Memory
yeah.
full. The
Or
memory's
no,
not full. I
one
emptied
time-
it.
One time I had, so it was one interview, and you hear people talking on one, you know, both tape recorders, and then you on the other tape recorder hear beep, 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 beep,
Yes.
beep. That's the battery dying on the other one. It
Yeah.
was calling out for help. Beep, 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 beep.
And then you're afraid to open it up because you're going to lose. If you change the
Yes,
battery,
you don't wanna
you've
mess-
lost what you've been recording.
It was
Yeah,
rough.
it's really it's annoying as heck. So so that's my Steve Guttenberg story. I have nothing bad to say about Steve Guttenberg. He was very nice,
Oh, yeah.
and he got me a paid
Yeah.
gig as editor. I was actually the editor of Show Business for about a month.
I wish that you could have called him back and been like, I just want to run through some stuff.
Really should have done. Yeah.
I don't know if you can, you know.
Well, in modern days, much more. I mean, we're talking about 1988
Wow.
here. More modern days, it would have been like, you know, a couple of follow-up questions. Can I email him? Yeah, you know, can you send this to him by email?
Yeah.
And then I'll get some direct
But
quotes.
You're
And,
right. It's a different time, honey.
Yeah.
It's a different. You can't. Yeah, it was a different time. If we needed information, we had to go to the library or
what's a
read an
library? Yeah.
encyclopedia. We never we didn't Google stuff. Like we had a whole different.
My head is so big right now. I don't
Do
know
you
what the hell
remember we're
happened.
dressed in the exact same colors? Look at this.
Oh yeah, there. But put your arm on camera. Here we go. Look at this. Look at this. Wow.
And my pant. Put your pants.
Well, yeah. Hold on. Okay. Hold on. Okay.
Just don't hurt my knee.
Yeah.
See,
Look. Ooh. When you're married for almost 25 years, ladies and gentlemen, you start.
And my underwear are brown. What are yours?
Well, they're supposed to be white.
I just been teasing.
The backs of them are brown.
I
Yeah.
knew you would say that.
Oh, thank you very much. Anyway.
What's left? Greeley crime.
Greeley Crimes Hell Times, our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. In fact, well, let me get through the Friends of the Daverhood, though. These are folks who have been on the program in months or years past, and we kind of like to honor them and
Just tell
say,
me the
hey,
town, David. I want to look it up.
what town? What?
For the Greeley,
Oh, for the Limerick. The
Yeah.
Limerick is going to be from Milliken, Colorado. We've been through there. We were driving distance from where Joyce and I used to live.
I know that. Milliken.
in Colorado.
There's a Milliken. Milliken University is in Illinois.
That's a little different.
I know.
But first, let's just honor people who've been on this program in years past and see what they've been up to.
Look at the name of the mayor.
Save that. Save. Well, I'll write it. All right. Where is it? My goodness. Rather insistent. Ladies and gentlemen, that means we're going to do the Friends of the Daverhood. People who've been on this program, whether it was 20 years ago or 10 years ago or just a couple of months ago, they go on to do other things in arts and entertainment. We like to let you know what those things are. For example, gotta congratulate Jamie DeRoy. She is a producer. She's also a cabaret host. And a song that she wrote and performed called Daddy's Girl has won a couple of awards. They did an animated video for it. She wrote and sang the song Daddy's Girl, and it won awards in a couple of festivals. So congratulations to Jamie DeRoy. Congratulations also to David Broza, the musician. He's got a new album out. It's called La Mujer Que Yo Quiero, and you can find out about it and probably download it and get it from davidbroza.net, B-R-O-Z-A, davidbroza.net. I want to let you know that today or tonight at the Patchogue. What?
Somebody asked, can you have chickens in Milliken, Colorado?
We can have roast chicken. I know.
No one asked if you could have them. Like, are you allowed to have chickens?
So on Saturday, today, Tom Chapin and his family are doing an 80th birthday tribute to Harry Chapin, of course, the late songwriter who did Cats in the Cradle and Taxi. Chapin was killed, I think, on the Long Island Expressway in some freak accident like 40-something years ago. But it would have been his 80th birthday, and his brother Tom Chapin is celebrating that with other people in the Chapin clan. And that is happening today at the Patchogue Theater on Long Island. As we've been saying, Monday night at Birdland, it's Julie Halston doing her show. That's on 8th Avenue and West 44th Street. Also letting you know, speaking of Birdland, that bandleader Vince Giordano and his Nighthawks, they are playing this whole weekend from Friday through Sunday. That's
Backyard chickeners in Milliken.
scary chickens.
Have an active backyard chicken community.
Eric Jensen is on Broadway in The Collaboration. It's a play about Andy Warhol and Jean-Michel Basquiat. Jensen plays the art dealer who discovered kind of both of them and put them both together. The show is called The Collaboration. It's at the Samuel J. Friedman Theater on Broadway. You can see it this weekend and all next week into next weekend, but then it closes. It's a Manhattan Theater Club production. And speaking of theater for a New Audience, which do their shows now at Brooklyn's Polonsky Center, they're doing open workshops of 2 Shakespeare plays, Richard II and Henry IV, and J.O. Sanders is playing Falstaff. So definitely you want to check that out, playing now through February 5th. Now, through February 11th, it's kind of off Broadway at the Wild Project, Jill Sobule's hit musical Fuck 7th Grade. It played a couple of weeks and then it went away and they brought it back, and now it's back again because it's so popular and got some really good reviews. Fuck 7th Grade from Jill Sobule.
In the 1950s in Milliken, 2 potato decks were constructed.
This is it. What is a? I Googled that. I couldn't find out what a potato deck is.
What is it?
So if you can find it, please let me know. Oh, honey, can you ring the bell? Ring the bell very quickly. Ring the bell. We have an Austin Pendleton alert. Austin Pendleton alert, ladies and gentlemen, because Austin Pendleton is directing the Broadway revival of the off-Broadway play Between Riverside and Crazy. It's at the Helen Hayes Theater, a second stage theater production. Tova Feldscher on Broadway in Funny Girl at the Wilson Theater. Lilias White is in Hadestown at the Walter Kerr. And Alan Menken, he did the music for Aladdin on Broadway at the New Amsterdam and for Little Shop of Horrors off-Broadway at the West Side Theater. Jim Caruso's cast party every Monday night at Birdland. They mentioned Jim Caruso before. They were all talking about him. So go see his, it's kind of like an open mic night for Broadway caliber people. People in the chorus, stars step in, cabaret people. You never know who's going to be there. Monday nights for Jim Caruso's cast party. Get tickets at birdlandjazz.com. Shout out to my friend Evan Seplow, the founder of StageBuddy.com. Dr. Demento, who does Dr. Demento shows, brand new ones every week at drdemento.com. And of course, to Leslie Hoban Blake and our mutual friend Charlie Gross. They co-host Two on the Aisle on YouTube. And a shout out, she couldn't make it today, but Vicky Quaddy, of course, is doing Late Night Catechism and Bible Bingo. And Are You Smarter Than Your 8th Grade Nun? All of these at the Greenhouse Theater in Chicago. And those, my friends, are the friends of the Daverhood. Can you believe it's just about noon Eastern time in the Daverhood?
Yes.
We've been here 3 hours and we're here 9 to noon every Saturday doing Dave's Gone By. It's live on the Facebook page and then the shows are archived on the Facebook page in case you missed all or part of them. But our main archive is at davesgoneby.com. DAVESGONEBY, davesgoneby.com. So you can listen to the very first show we ever did from literally 20 plus years ago. It was a 1-hour radio show back then, or catch us during our college years when we were on college radio and we played a lot of music along with the comedy and the talk. And then, of course, the past 5 years, we've been doing this visually as a video podcast. All of those archives are available at davesgoneby.com. We even have a separate archive on the site just of the interviews. So if you don't want to wade through the whole shows, you can go to those. We also put our archives at archive.org, and we put the audio only of our 20 years of archives at castbox.fm. That's for those of you who just want to hear things as podcasts. You don't want to deal with the visual, you want to be on the go. Castbox.fm. Plus, we have a YouTube channel, Dave's Gone By. Lots of ways to grab basically the same content of this program. And as I did mention, if you go to a whole different website, davelefkowitz.org, davelefkowitz.org, you can read my theater reviews, my plays, my song lyrics, and all sorts of interviews with people. The Steve Guttenberg interview, I've got that online at davelefkowitz.org, and you can actually physically see a JPEG of the way it looked on the front page of Show Business Magazine all those years ago. So if you want to go deep, even deeper into the Daverhood, take a deep Daverhood dive, go to davelefkowitz.org as well. Anyway, it is 12:01 in the afternoon Eastern Time with me, Dave Lefkowitz, my wonderful wife Joyce, doing the 879th episode of Dave's Gone By live on January 28th, 2023. We're calling it, or have been calling it, Crown Jewels, because we had two JULS. We had Julie Halston and Julian Schlossberg in the Daverhood. So shall we do a very quick Greeley Crimes and Old Times, then we'll get to our Colorado Limerick, and then we'll put a capper on this episode of the show.
Oh, this weekend is the World of Pets Expo at the fairground.
Really? Oh
Yeah.
boy.
But I don't know.
Mm.
So, I
Yeah.
just don't have pets. It's all kind of animals. I'm scared of that.
And by the way, but as long as I was still doing the Friends of the Daverhood and some thank yous, thank you very, very much to Brett over at the Keith Sherman Public Relations Office. And thank you to Dan Fortune and Jim Caruso, who were instrumental in getting Julie Halston on the show. Thank you. All right, it's time, since Joyce and I lived for several years in northern Colorado, where the local newspaper there is the Greeley Tribune. Well, one nice thing about the Greeley Tribune is that even though it's a legit newsy newspaper, there are two columns that they've been doing for years that are based on real, actual news events in a way, but they're also they're funny. So when people will notice something weird going on in their neighborhood, they'll call the cops. And sometimes the phone calls or the incidents are not so scary as they are just ridiculous. They compile those once a week and put it in a column called Cop Log in the Greeley Tribune. And then there's Mike Peters, our friend over there, who goes through the newspapers in northern Colorado from 1923, 100 years ago, and finds the goofiest things that are nostalgic and funny to our eyes. His column is called 100 Years Ago. We mix those things up and call our segment Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Yeah. So we're being very stingy, very parsimonious with our crimes, because since early November, and shame on them, the Greeley Trib has been unable or unwilling or whatever, shall we say, incompetent in
They
posting.
can. They're probably, they're, what happened? They don't have access? Or
I don't know,
you
but
wrote them, right? Didn't
yeah,
you?
I wrote you a very nice message back from the woman, Morgan Mackenzie, who has been compiling these things, but to this day, and it's now, really, it's
Maybe it's
December,
like a release
2
of
months.
information, yeah.
I don't know. But they have not
You
been
know why
posting new
they're
crimes.
getting too popular? They wanna like release that.
People are making fake things to call
I
up
think
so they get on the
yes,
show.
Yes, it's like, oh yeah, there's a chicken on my patio named Wilbur. So you know.
Well, that's real. That happened.
Oh, okay. Ooh.
But here's the deal.
I didn't
It's
mean to do that, yeah.
so we're being very, very like doling them out. What's another
Yes,
word for
piecemeal,
parcel?
piecemeal.
Just because we're running out of Greeley
When I
crimes.
was a kid, I used to give out like candy and stuff at different events for the family.
Yeah.
And I'd say, take only one. I tell
Yeah,
people
right.
to
Take
pick
yeah. Halloween candy thing is
one.
like
I know that's horrible though. It's
because otherwise people just don't ring the bell. I'll leave a bucket, and then the first kid will take everything in the bucket.
Oh, Vicky told us that.
Yeah. So we're going to do one Greeley crime and a few of the Greeley old times. And we also have a couple of elsewhere things. So are you ready to get criminal? And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to open. This is a brand new kind of a thing, ladies and gentlemen. This is very exciting. Are you ready? I'm going to need some noise.
Yes.
We have an alert, ladies and gentlemen, a brand new kind of alert. This is an elaborate alert.
Ooh.
This is an item that is really pointlessly elaborate
Okay.
from Greeley crimes from a few weeks ago, back in November. 6 a.m. Whatever happened here happened at 6 in the morning,
Of course, that's
and it was
perfect
reported. People call in to the police dispatch to tell the police this kind of thing. A man on 13th Street said he saw a red newspaper box with a drawing of a girl's face on it. The girl had upside-down crosses between her eyes. The man said he scratched the drawing out with his thumb.
Okay, I'm still following.
Yeah. But he had concerns that someone would think he was out to harm the person whose face was on the drawing. Is that elaborate or what?
So what was he really reporting?
I have no idea.
Was he reporting the drawing or the fact that he did the thing and he didn't want to be accused of?
I think he was afraid that he would be seen scratching this drawing out,
Yeah.
and that he was the one who put up
Yeah, but
this
somebody
one of a
left the
girl
drawing for him.
on a red newspaper box.
Oh, I get it. It was like one of those newspaper free throwaways.
Yeah. So there was a drawing of a girl with
yeah.
upside down
So he
crosses on
just
her
felt
eyes.
he
He was upset by
It's
this.
not defacing property if it's not his.
Well, they did, but people wouldn't want to think
Oh.
that he was defacing the property by trying
Oh,
to scratch the.
When you have to
That's
explain
elaborate.
it so long, it's not
Yeah.
really worth it.
That is elaborate, guy. Yeah.
Yeah, they could have shorthanded that one.
Well, we also have, this is unbelievable, we have two completely new kinds of alerts today. We just had the elaborate
Are you
alert.
talking about that?
Oh, well, we can talk about him.
No, save it. No,
We'll save-
I'll bring it next time.
This
I'll
is
bring
exciting.
it up.
Yeah. No, this is what's it? I think we need use that red thing. Oh yeah. So here we go. Another alert. Ladies and gentlemen, for the very first time on Dave's Gone By, we have a tautology alert. We have an alert that kind of circles back in upon itself. And it goes back to 100 years ago. So this was in the newspaper in 1923, in what was then called the Greeley Tribune Republican newspaper, a tautology alert. Here we go. Reverend Hay preached to a packed crowd at the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Greeley this week. Yeah. He spoke, check this out. He spoke of the lawlessness of our age. He said it's because of the people's increase of iniquities, wickedness, and lawlessness.
Yes.
So, as we see, can you explain? You're a professor. What is a
Yes.
tautology?
Lawlessness creates lawlessness.
Yes.
I think that's perfectly true.
And literally, the definition is exactly what it already is. That's
Yeah.
a beautiful bit of tautology there
I
from
love
100
that.
years ago in the newspaper. Lawless. You know why the streets are lawless? Because those people are lawless.
I think
Yeah.
so, yes.
I wouldn't mind having the streets full of Lucy Lawless. That'd be better. But anywho, I guess that's because I'm a xenophobe. Get it? That's a little, yeah. Thank you very much. 100 years ago, at Kylie Taylor, across the street from the courthouse, you can now purchase. Now this staggers me. It should stagger you. We always do this where we get something from the paper 100 years ago, and it's like, here's a house. You can rent the house. It's 5 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms with an 8-acre yard, and it's like, $25 a month. Boom, it's yours, right? So. And if you eat the Blue Plate special at this restaurant, it's $1.47 because it's 100 years ago. So, but this I cannot. I'm guessing this is so far off. At Kylie Taylor, across the street from the courthouse, you can now purchase new men's shirts for $50 to $70 in 1923. That's even a lot of, unless you're going to
buy one
Kowloon.
shirt a year,
Yeah. No, but even now, now you're not going to pay $70.
Most people do except you because you're cheap.
I'm very cheap. No, but.
What year was it?
1923.
What's the average cost of a men's shirt in 1923? Men's clothing, felt hat. It says $13. One tuxedo, $10.
Yeah.
Business suits, $3.
Yeah. Do you know what $50 was in 1923?
Maybe it's fancy.
That was like half a year's salary.
Or maybe you gotta look good.
No, I'm imagining that's just a typo, either from Mike or just.
Maybe it was $5.
Okay.
That
And that's still pricey for them.
Well, I'm trying to. Let's see.
If you get a tuxedo for $10, how can a shirt be $50?
Look, they're saying that
this whole
outfit is $30 for the suit.
Exactly. I don't know. The
It says
store.
a men's suit was $29.75 or $400 today.
Right. Okay, I get that. Meanwhile, and this is magnificent. Part of the same thing. So this very
shirt was $3.
Well, a what?
A dress shirt.
A dress shirt was $3.
8 dress shirts with a collar attached.
Yeah.
It's $1. I guess it's a different thing.
I mean, if I will not go into a store and pay more than $15 for a shirt because I'm a cheap Jew. And the original prices on the shirts were $30 to $40 or maybe $50, but in 2023 money, not in 1923, 2023. But here's the deal. So let's say this really is a ridiculously expensive place. This Kylie Taylor store is selling shirts for beautiful, perfect, tailored. What do they say when they take in stuff? It's custom tailored shirts in the same store. The store is also selling Miller tires for your auto.
Good.
Each Miller tire comes with a free tire tube.
Ooh,
So I'm going to get myself a shirt and a tube.
There you go.
And spend my entire year's salary on both of
You'd be
them.
the best dressed man in the
I
town,
know. In my auto.
Yeah, in your automobile.
Check my shirt. Yeah, meanwhile, the auto goes on the side of the road. You open the hood, and then your
I can't
sleeve.
believe that we are dressed exactly alike, except
Isn't
we'll
that
have
scary?
different color socks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that scary? One more old times, and we'll do some elsewheres. Evans, a guy named Evans, not the town of Evans. Evans, a resident of Alaska for many years, spoke to the Greeley High School this week and enchanted the students with his tales of Alaska.
Oh.
Well, the favorite story seemed to be about a two-toned cub cry. It sounds like a bear cub crying when you blow on it.
Oh.
But what you do is it's like in two tones at the same time. It is used to lure the Alaskan bears out of their dens so they can be shot. And the children are just loving it.
They like playing with it. They don't get that.
Yeah, well, I like playing with it too ever since I was 11. But thank you very, very much. Let's go elsewhere for an item in Greeley Crimes and Old Times this week. What it means is this is not a weird, funny story that comes from the Tribune or even from Colorado. We go further afield for our news items, and we have, here's a story from the UK Mirror in England. This is cute. A woman was in labor at the hospital. So her husband, and that's her, not the baby. So her husband was taking a sentimental video of her during childbirth to post on TikTok. However,
Oh no.
on the video, while he's taking it and streaming it, he added a live Snapchat filter. So it turned her face into ugly dog. A hairless, grimacing chihuahua.
Oh no. Did he mean to do that?
Yeah, just as a gag. So instead of his wife like there, like, she's like the dog face with a hairless chihuahua face. Readers were split over whether the husband's sense of humor was appropriate for the moment. One wrote, quote, mid-contraction, I would walk to my lawyer's office for divorce papers. But they both had a good sense of humor. The wife was fine with it. She's like a model type, so she's been posting on TikTok a lot. So this is her latest thing, and he posted that. Yeah. Do you think they had an argument when they got home? Yeah.
That's touch and go.
And I'll do this elsewhere too, because it's so wonderful. This happened in London a couple of days ago. No, I'm going to wait then. Go.
No,
because it's perfect.
Okay.
It's perfect. In London, England, I'll make it quick. In the West End, where all the theaters are, a man has died after being crushed by a pop-up urinal. The tragedy occurred shortly after 1 p.m. on Friday, yesterday, outside the Palace Theatre, home to the popular show Harry Potter and the Cursed Child.
What was he crushed by an outhouse?
He was crushed by Harry Potter. The victim was apparently performing below-ground maintenance on the hydraulic public urinal when he was crushed.
What is a hydraulic public urinal?
See, to discourage street urination, urinals are concealed below street level during the day, and they emerge from beneath the pavement in the evenings.
They learned from the Spider-Man show that's not good to do.
Yeah, and by the way, initially police didn't believe the victim's cries for help. They thought he was just taking the piss.
That's horrible.
And by the way, the family requests that in lieu of flowers, you can put the flowers in the loo. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Greeley Crimes and Old Times for this Saturday, January 28th, 2023.
Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool. I'm sure that you'll agree with me that Greeley was no fool.
What he is getting at is that Mr. Greeley was no fool.
Yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi-yi-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, yes, it is, my God, it's after 12:15 on the 879th edition of Dave's Gone By. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. Want to let you know that next week, on next week's show, we have a guest we're very excited about. He is a musician. He's also an orchestrator and conductor by the name of Larry Blank. And kind of cool, he's got something coming out about his life as well. So Larry Blank in the Daverhood next Saturday on the show, and we'll be here from 9 until noon or thereabouts right here on this Facebook page. Want to also remind you that you can write to me. Dave's Gone By at AOL.com is the way to do that. Dave's Gone By at AOL.com. You can also check my Twitter feed, Radio Dave 2. Radio Dave and the number 2. And what else can you do? Oh, and I didn't mention that if you want to know more about Rabbi Sol Solomon, please go to shalomdammit.com. Shalom, D-A-M-M-I-T, shalomdammit.com for more on the great Rabbi Sol. And we thank him so much. You know, when I mentioned all the people who were on the show earlier, how can I forget the Rebbe?
The word of the day is inure.
What the word of the day? To inure, I-N-U-R-E. Is that to protect something from something? Yeah.
To make acceptable or more desirable, a custom.
Oh, to accustom to something, yeah.
But doesn't make it louder, has you? Can you hear it here?
Yeah.
In.
It sounds like manure, actually. Yeah. Inure is the word of the day. Actually, no, our word of the day last week, but I'm still digging it, is Narvik. Narvik. Thank you, IKEA, for sharing that word with us. I have no idea what the hell it means, but Narvik. Anyway, we're almost done. Don't have that much more to do on this particular episode of Dave's Gone By, but we do have a little bit more to present to you, and I apologize for it in advance. It is our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, because as we were mentioning, Joyce and I did live in Greeley, Colorado for a bunch of years, and I took it into my head at one point for no good reason to write a poem about as many places in Colorado as I possibly could. So some of them were pretty simple and easy, like, Vail. A lot of things rhyme with Vail. A lot of things might rhyme, well, even Greeley rhymes with really and Sealy, Posturepedic, or whatever. So some of the poems easier to write than others. They've gotten harder as I've done more than 200 of them now. But I still try and keep coming up with them. And there's some I wrote back in the day that haven't even been on the show yet. So every week we do a Colorado Limerick of the Damned. Be warned, because these are limericks, they're supposed to be amusing, and they tend to be rather naughty. And this one is particularly, let's see, how horrible and disgusting is this one? Because we're going to Milliken, Colorado, for our limerick. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is a bad one. Milliken, Colorado. I have some information about Milliken that I'll share with you, and then we'll get to our Colorado Limerick of the Damned.
You're the poetry man.
A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme. And likewise, verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick.
Rocky Mountain, Colorado, 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 Colorado.
Thank you, Christine Lavin, for bringing us into the information that you need to know about our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. Milliken, Colorado, it's a statutory town in Weld County with about 6,000 people in it, and it's over 6 square miles. It's pretty close, as I said, to Greeley in northern Colorado, not a very far drive from Fort Collins. Named for Judge John D. Milliken, who I don't know anything else about him, but it was a trading post in the mid-1800s. It was near Hillsborough.
He was
Colorado.
a judge, I think.
Was he? Yeah.
Milliken was a judge. They said he was a judge.
But anything about him? Was he?
I don't know. We don't know anything.
Here on Milliken's Island. No, it was adjacent to Hillsborough back in the day. By 1910, Milliken annexed Hillsborough, but then fires came and basically burned down the whole area. And so it went back to being a farming community. But in the 1950s, Joyce discovered this also from the wiki thing, 2 large potato decks were constructed. I'm assuming there were potato farmers. I really don't know what a potato deck is, unless they're sitting around playing cards, and they're probably marked with peels at that point. In the 1960s, there was a housing boom, and now it's a very nice suburban Colorado town with lakes for fishing and lots of homes. And it's nice. It's Milliken. It's yet another really nice community in Colorado. But Milliken is not going to be so nice for the next minute, because I've written a 5-line poem about it, and it's pretty rough, ladies and gentlemen. So get the kids out of the room. It is our Colorado Limerick. And the current mayor of Milliken is a man named Bo Woodcock. Bo Woodcock. Just like that, Bo Woodcock. With that in mind, here is our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. Beware of that fellow from Milliken, for when he is mentally ill he can sneak into the zoo, rape a fat kangaroo, and fuck the shit out of a pelican. Please send your complaints to davesgoneby@aol.com, davesgoneby@aol.com. I read everything that I get, whether they're comments or complaints or compliments, but yeah, I'll read them, and I'll very often try and respond as well, because I love hearing from you. I love getting the messages on Facebook. Thank you to about 400 people who sent me happy birthday things last Monday when I turned 59 years old. Thank you very much. And I think, wow, 400 people took the time out to just say happy birthday or happy birthday, Dave, or give me some sort of aphorism. And then I realized I've got like 5,000 people on my Facebook feed, and it's less than 10%. I'm like, people, you're watching the show, I hope. You took the time to add me as a friend or said yes when I tried to add you as a friend. My 59th birthday comes up and you can't take a moment to give me a like, to give me a little heart. I'm weeding out people of my friends list so I can let more friends in, because they stop you on Facebook at 5,000. And it's like, oh, yeah, come on. I make the effort. Most days, sometimes I fall off the wagon a little bit, but I make the effort to wish people a happy birthday every day. And I got 5,000 people to do that to over the course of 365 days. Most of you I'm gathering on Facebook have a couple of hundred friends on there. So when it is my birthday, and you might be check that out or notified, you can say, happy birthday, Dave. Love the show. You are a genius. Julian Schlossberg should produce the miracle of long time. Whatever it is, just saying. So next year I expect to hit at least 500, unless all my Facebook friends are dying, which could also happen. But anywho, thank you. I really do. I did, I used to, a couple of years ago, respond and actually write back. Thank you very much. And then this year is just mostly like or thumbs up or heart, just to say, I read your thing. I appreciate your saying hello to me on my birthday. Even if you were a couple of days late and you sent me a belated, just as nice. Thank you so much to the folks who did that. Thank you to my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, who took the time and made the effort to, really make my birthday special, because it was the day before I started teaching again, and she was already getting her stuff ready for her classes, and she had meetings and things. So, and she knew I had the dentist this week, which was freaking me out. So it was very, very nice. Very nice for her to, say, hey, let's go to a restaurant and get takeout from there that we've never been to. She created this marvelous card that you see behind me. I'll pop that up a little bit again. So yeah, thank you, honey, for making it a wonderful week and a wonderful year. Let's see what else. Oh, I will do the laugh. Ha, 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 ha. I was doing that earlier, and I was saying I was going to explain it. We've been watching, as I said, the Alan Davis show on BritBox, and there's a very, very funny comedian named Jimmy Carr, who's on, you can find them on YouTube and stuff. Jimmy Carr, funny, kind of dark humored comedian. And he goes on these chat shows a lot, these quiz shows a lot. And his legitimate laugh, I'm actually gonna, this I can play, I can't show the video of it, but he's been asked about it and he's tried to explain it. He thinks he just kind of laughs in reverse than the way we do, because it's the intake of air versus the exhale of air. But let's hear a bit of what Jimmy Carr sounds like. Oh, let me have that. Here's of laughing. This is absolutely real. This is how he laughs, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. And also, this ball is full.
That is absolutely real, folks. That noise that he's making. And it's weird enough. It's just weird. It's just a little bit louder than everybody else's laugh, and a little bit stranger, and goes on a little bit longer. And then it goes up at the end, which is the creepiest part. He goes, ha, 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 ha. And it's wonderful once you realize, oh, it's Jimmy Carr. At the moment when he is this comedian, and that is his real, legitimate laugh, I can't imagine going to a theater or a movie theater when you're sitting, you're watching a comedy, and everybody's laughing at certain moments, and you're laughing, and then sitting 2 seats away from you, you hear after every joke thing, ha 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 ha. And I would
It
just be
sounds
like,
like the count, like count 1, 2, 3,
it would
4.
ruin my night. People have done that. People were
Yeah.
legitimately laughing,
Yeah.
but laughing too loud or too hard,
Yeah.
or at things that weren't even that funny,
Well,
but
to
trying
you,
to.
but they're funny to them.
Oh, but it's awful. It is just
I know,
terrible.
I
I saw a
know.
show like that last year where this woman was just legitimately having a wonderful time. It wasn't Funny Girl. It was.
It was Finnegan's Wake.
That's right. It was Wit. Angels in America.
It was
No.
Rent.
No, well, there's funny things in it, but no, but it was a show where laughter was appropriate. It was a musical, but she was just loving it. Oh, it was Into the Woods. She was applauding wildly and just
she was drunk.
all the comedy bits. She was just laughing too damn much. Someone who's enjoying herself over the point where the material. I mean, it's Into the Woods. I mean, it's freaking
Well,
sonnet.
maybe not.
But yeah,
Maybe
no.
she's the mother of somebody in the show.
And that's the
You
worst.
know, or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it kind of ruined the show for me because you start anticipating.
Mhm.
You know when a line's comes, like the next time something's gonna be mildly
So
amusing.
start laughing first.
Yeah, and start having a competition.
You should.
And then I realized that this Jimmy Carr's laugh
Yeah.
it's actually an extension of Desi Arnaz, Ricky Ricardo on Lucy, because he's the Lucy, and it's similar to that, but he never rounded it up at the end. Because Ricky would be like, but Carr, I don't know. It's just I just felt the need to talk about that.
That's disturbing me.
And by the way, just a note that I made, if I were doing stand-up comedy instead of this show, if I weren't adjunct professoring and doing the other things that I do, I would probably take a go at stand-up again because it gets in your blood, even though it's an abject failure at it. But just a line, I've been reading the book of Seinfeld's one-liners and his material. Did you ever notice that Jewish funerals, and for the week after, during Shiva, Jews, of course, bring all sorts of food, because you bring food, it's communal. It brings the people who are not dead to life. It forces them to eat. It forces to become part of the community. And they'll bring pastrami, they'll bring bagels, and I bring pizza. No one, as far as I've ever known in history, has ever, I've set this up too much. I should have made it just a one-liner and let it go, but now I've built it up too much. But here it is. Did you ever notice that nobody brings a funfetti cake to a Jewish funeral? Ever just think about that. Of all the cake, chocolate cake for sure, pastries, the Italian cookies, but nobody, so sorry, I brought funfetti. It's not something people bring to a Jewish funeral. Just saying. I don't know, in the right crowd, that line would kill. And in another crowd, it would not kill. So you have to decide for yourselves. Anyway, I have decided that it is time to end this episode of Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz. And it's been our 879th episode on this January 28th, 2023. We've been calling it the Crown Jewels because we've had the wonderful Julie Halston. We've also had the wonderful Julian Schlossberg. Go see Julie Halston at Birdland this Monday night with her latest cabaret, back by popular demand. Go to birdlandjazz.com for tickets. And if you can't physically get there, I'm in Maryland, I can't go, but you can stream it online, live from Birdland. Go to birdlandjazz.com. And, of course, you're going to want to get the book by Julian Schlossberg. And it seems to be volume 1, because he's already working on a sequel to it. Try Not to Hold It Against Me from Beaufort Books, coming out in just a couple of days. Go to julianschlossbergproducer.com for more details on his life, or anywhere where books are sold to get his books. And go to shalomdammit.com for more about Rabbi Sol Solomon. It's been fun, really fun. It's been a delight to do this episode. Next week, next Saturday, we'll be in February, I think it'll be February 4th, with the 880th edition of Dave's Gone By, featuring Larry Blank and me and some of the usual suspects and my wonderful wife, Joyce. She heard that. Hope you all heard that too. Have a wonderful time. Thanks for helping make my birthday week such a pleasure. And we'll see you next week in the Daverhood and Gone By.
Days gone by, days gone by, days gone by, days gone by.
Naravik? Ha ha ha!